of President Trump's broader push to roll back support for English language learning in schools. Trump wants to eliminate all of the federal funding that helps these students. In March, he declared English the official language of the U.S. through an executive order. Erica Meltzer is a national editor with our editorial partner Chalkbeat, the nonprofit education news outlet. Erica, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
So with that order, is the federal government legally required to pay for students to learn English? Is that right?
Not exactly. This is a complicated issue. There's a Supreme Court decision that says that schools have to provide students who are learning English with adequate resources to learn English and have the same quality of education as their counterparts. And there's federal law that requires that the federal government provide resources to states, especially to help with teacher training. But there's not actually any sort of constitutional requirement that the federal government pay for the needs of these students.
Well, Erica, I'm going to pick up here. We know that Congress now allocates $890 million a year for English language acquisition programs in schools. We know President Trump wants to cut all of that. So the combination of if Trump, gets his wish and with the executive order, will states, because of that Supreme Court decision that you mentioned, will states still have to provide it but not have the funds from Congress?
Yes, states still have an obligation to serve these students, and a lot of states already provide some money to schools, but a lot of times it doesn't really cover the full cost of additional teacher training, of additional staff, of additional resources that schools need. And a lot of states are entering into their own budget challenges. And so there's a real question of, will there be adequate resources to serve these students? And could we see families forced to turn, for example, to the courts to try and press their claim that their students are not being served, which obviously is a very high bar to ask families to do.
Well, we know a national survey from 2023 found about 1 in 5 teachers say their school rarely or never meets the needs of children learning English. You just mentioned budget, money is a consideration. But we're also understanding that, the sciences the research is that one of the best ways to teach children English is to have them, use their own language that's spoken at home in their classrooms as part of it, duo language. But not that many schools have someone teachers that can work with them.
Yeah, this is a really multifaceted problem. You have general education teachers who don't always have a lot of training in helping English learners. You have a real shortage of bilingual educators. When schools have a very high percentage of their student population learning English, it can be difficult to meet everyone's needs. And the other thing to keep in mind is we're not just talking about Spanish or maybe in another community Arabic. We're not just talking about these large groups of language speakers. There's a school district near me that has something like 130 languages represented in the school system. And so you're not going to be able to realistically provide bilingual education in that setting. And so that triggers sort of another set of needs for those kids.
Sure. Well, we mentioned the Trump administration fired all but one staffer in the office that oversees English learners in school. It also revoked federal guidance and resources for teachers. And what kind of resources?
So this is sometimes referred to as almost the Bible for English acquisition educators. It put in one place federal rules, federal laws, court precedent, and really laid out, here are the best ways to serve these students. And so when people had a question about, what does the research say? Or when people had a question about, can I legally use these funds in this way? Or is this the best way to solve this problem? It was all in one place. And that has now been revoked. So you can still sort of find it on the internet and reference it. But the federal government has made clear they're not going to be enforcing based on that guidance.
Well, Erica Meltzer, again, national editor with Chalkbeat, it doesn't sound good, for English learners in schools. I mean, in just a few seconds, it seems pretty grim.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of educators that have the training that they have brought to the job, have a lot of commitment. I think you have school systems and states, frankly, that will want to do a good job. But I think you're going to see a much more uneven landscape, and I think we're going to see that it's going to be harder for families and advocates for these students to make changes in places where things aren't going well.
Erica Meltzer, again, with Chalkbeat, the nonprofit education news outlet. We'll keep an eye on this. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure.
And Here and Now is a production of NPR and WBUR. I'm Robin Young in Boston.
And I'm Rob Schmitz in Berlin, Germany. It's Here and Now.
Funding for Here and Now comes from Loomis Sales, committed to meeting the investment goals of institutional and individual investors across the globe. Combining in-house research and risk management, they create tailored investment strategies for every client. Learn more at loomissales.com.
We'd like to hear from you. Why do you love and support public radio? Is it the trusted news, the thoughtful conversations, or the music you can't find anywhere else? Now you can tell us directly through the WVTF Radio IQ app. Just open the side menu, tap Talk to Us, and leave us a message with your name and why. It's quick, it's easy, and we may share your story on the air. Download the free Radio IQ app today and let your voice be heard.
This week in This American Life. Okay, so you're on a subway car, and onto the car comes a guy wearing no pants. A couple stops later, somebody else gets on, also no pants. This keeps happening every few stops until the train has many, many people on it with no pants. Then somebody comes barreling through the car, selling pants. Mind games this week.
Monday evenings at 8 and Saturday afternoons at 3 on Radio IQ.
You're listening to Radio IQ on WVTF Roanoke, WRIQ Charles City, Richmond, WVTU Charlottesville, WVTW Charlottesville, WVTR Marion, WISE FM Wise, WQIQ Spotsylvania, WIUR Lexington, WEHC Emory, HD3 of WURV Richmond, and on 92.5 Richmond and 94.9 Fredericksburg. Radio IQ, a listener-supported community service of Virginia Tech, on your smart speaker and online at radioiq.org.
Funding for Here and Now comes from MathWorks, creator of MATLAB and Simulink software, accelerating the pace of engineering and science. Learn more at mathworks.com.
From NPR and WBUR Boston, I'm Robin Young.
And I'm Rob Schmitz. It's Here and Now. Coming up, negotiators meet today to discuss a peace plan for Gaza as the war reaches the 2-year mark. Also, the U.S. military has struck at least 4 boats off of Venezuela. A former ambassador says there is some evidence to back up the Trump administration's claim that they had drugs on board.
After one of these strikes, the Dominicans were able to recover nearly a ton of cocaine in individually wrapped packages.
Also, a preacher recently predicted the rapture, the second coming of Jesus Christ.
The rapture is going to happen on the 23rd and the 24th of September.
But it's been rescheduled for this week. What's behind the belief in the rapture? Coming up Here and Now.
News is first.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. President Trump says he's following through on his warning of firing rather than furloughing federal workers during the government shutdown, which is now in its 6th day. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the process of determining dismissals is underway.
go first and then sounds great.
Yes.
That didn't take too long. All right.
You know what? My purse is very cute. I'm gonna have to pull up the thing on here.
A lot going on here.
She went to go get it. I'm like, tell me what's coming up.
All right, are we ready? No, not quite. Let's go first.
Oh, I have it. Proclamation. Oh, you got. Oh, I'm good.
Oh, that's yours. Oh, yeah, we can toss you.
Down. Oh, yes. I got socks. Because I be walking around my house. It's all hardwood.
I have one here. That's yours. I have one here. Might be extras. It's okay. I'll put them where they belong. Joanna. Got some more stuff. Good afternoon and welcome to the 2:00 p.m. session of the Roanoke City Council on October 6th. It's a pleasure to welcome you all. Our meetings are live streamed on YouTube at the RoanokeVA.gov channel and closed caption for the hard of hearing. I am pleased to welcome our invocator today. The invocation will be delivered by the Reverend Joanna Pesar, who is the pastor of Green Memorial United Methodist Church. And following the invocation, I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand?
Let us pray. Breath of life, we come to you praying with open hearts for the work before us, asking for your presence beside us. Remind us again that we don't go at this alone. Bless our city, we pray, and fill us with tenacious love to help those on the margin, connect over that which divides, and encourage the brokenhearted. We pray for a peace to reside over Roanoke, for each child to know well-being and each family to feel secure. We pray not only for our city, but we pray for peace in all of your world. As the season changes and we see the leaves fall, remind us again the power of change, of letting go, of a different pace. As we give thanks for the beauty of your creation, stir up creativity in us. We pray you'll slow us down enough to listen for connection, and slow us down enough to see you in the midst of all people. Give this room space enough to listen, to understand, more than to be understood. Thank you for every person who makes our city incredible, for their work in every corner, every neighborhood, and every day. Thank you especially for each and every employee of our city in particular. Help us remember it is all our duty to care for our neighbor, through love and service, standing with them. Convict us to remember that the hard work is easier when we go with you, and call us back to your way of grace. And let us be people who know and live out the truth that justice will roll down like mighty waters, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. Be that way of life for us, living God. And be here now in this time of work and in our city, we pray. In the name of our Creator. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Reverend Pesor. And I got a little ahead of myself, and I'm going to now ask our clerk to please call the roll.
Ms. Sanchez-Jones. Here. Vice Mayor McGuire.
Here.
Mr. Nash.
Here.
Mr. Volleson.
Here.
Ms. Powers.
Here.
Mr. Hagan.
Here.
And Mayor Cobb.
Here. And a quorum is present. Several announcements for us this afternoon. The Council of the City of Roanoke is seeking applications for various vacancies on council-appointed boards, authorities, commissions, and committees. To apply, you may visit roanokeva.gov to complete an online application. If you're not able to do that online, we encourage you to call the clerk's office or stop by the clerk's office during the week, and they'll be more than glad to assist you. Roanoke City Council is accepting nominations for the 2025 Citizen of the Year. If you know someone who goes above and beyond to make our community a better place, we encourage you to think of them and nominate them for Citizen of the Year. To view the nomination criteria and complete a nomination form, you can visit roanokeva.gov/Citizen of the Year, or again, stop by the city clerk's office and they'll be more than glad to help you. All nominations must be submitted by 5:00 p.m. on Friday, November 21st, 2025. And nominees must be residents of the city of Roanoke. All right, we are going to move into our presentations and acknowledgments, and we'll begin with our council shout-outs, which is an opportunity for us as council members to celebrate and acknowledge some of the great work we're seeing in our travelings and adventures throughout the city. So, Ms. Powers, would you like to kick us off today?
Sure will. My shout out is to the Hispanic Heritage Month. I want to thank Councilwoman Vivian Sanchez-Jones, who met me on Saturday. We went to the festival downtown, and it was absolutely wonderful to get to spend the time with that group and learn about their culture. But she also helped me learn to make sure that when I order the food now, I know what I'm getting. So thank you very much. And I had new yucca fries. They were absolutely delicious. If you haven't done it, please do it. It's good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Powers. Mr. Volleson.
My shout out is to Local Colors, who also is the ones that put together the Hispanic Heritage event this past Saturday. I also wanted to thank our Parks and Rec, because this is the time of year where we're all outside looking at leaves as they're starting to change. And I was going on some of the trails and seeing that they're in good condition. And I'm also excited about our new park technicians that will be patrolling the greenways and parks to make sure that everybody is safe. So that's my shout out.
My shout out will go to Champs Boxing Gym. They did a boxing event, Return of the Mac, at the Berglund Center. And boxing is one of my favorite sports to watch. All combat sports are. And so it was just really phenomenal to watch so much young talent, a lot of it local, but also from surrounding areas and other states even that came in that brought fighters to compete that day. And so, just kudos to them. And even Lloyd Merchant and our Reset team, and they had some young people competing in the competition as well, and they won some gold. So happy to see that.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Thanks, Mayor. I have a few just to run through really quickly. I forgot to give a shout out at our last meeting. Councilmember Nash and I went to the Girl Scouts of Virginia Skyline, the Project Her Mental Health Summit, which I just want to give a shout out to them. I found that to be just a really wonderful event. Young women from all over the state were there. The CEO of Girl Scouts National was there. And just, I think, a really important topic. A lot of our young people we know are self-harming, and we hear of suicides and things like that. So I just thought that was a really great event, and I forgot to mention it last time. So I wanted to thank the Girl Scouts of Virginia Skyline. I want to give a shout out to the Bus Riders of Roanoke Advocacy Group and Pedal Safe Roanoke and everyone who participated in the Week Without Driving, including our mayor, Joe Cobb. I was not able to do it. It is actually pretty challenging depending on where you are in your life. So I commend everyone who participated in that. And I think we'll hear more about what people learned through that experience. And then last, I want to say congratulations to the Old Southwest Neighborhood Group. Over the weekend, we had Porch Fest, where we unveiled the sign of our new Pocket Park at 8th and Day Avenue. Please come check it out. And I appreciate the mayor and Councilmember Hagan for coming by and joining us. We had a good time. So thank you.
My shout out goes to Local Colors for putting on a great celebration on Hispanic Heritage Month, and also to the police department for having their community outreach team there. It was a great event all over. Thank you.
Yeah, shout out to everybody that's already done because that's a lot. Also, shout out to our local registrar because we got 45 days of early voting. If y'all haven't gone and vote, y'all should. There is obviously a campaign, various campaigns going on. But yeah, 45 days is a lot, and they need much coffee, and et cetera. So yeah, shout out to them.
Thank you. So I want to echo what the Vice Mayor said about the week without driving. I did successfully complete a week without driving. It was extremely challenging on some days. And I still really don't know how it all happened, but I will say thank you to Valley Metro, to the Starline Trolley, to Metroflex, to my bicycle, to my feet, and to friends and colleagues. It's when we have the opportunity to look at transportation through the lens of people who completely rely on public transportation, it's really eye-opening. And so I would encourage everyone to think about that and to think about what the barriers and obstacles are here in our region and how we can work together to address some of those and make transportation access better for everyone. I'd also like to give a shout out to First Fridays. I cannot remember how many years First Fridays has been going on. I think it's 30 plus. But I have to tell you, if you just need a good energy boost and want to see hear some of the best bands and do some of the most fun line dances down on Franklin Avenue on Fridays. Last Friday was their last one of the season. There were probably 1,500 people there. It was a great turnout. They always have good local beer, good local food trucks, and they help raise money for a lot of nonprofits in the area. And it was also Physician Assistant Day, and I want to commend our PA program at Radford Carilion University. They meet at the community hospital. That's where their classes are held. But these students raised $1,500 on their own and held a full-day health fair on Friday in Elmwood Park, and were able to donate gifts of $750 to 2 local nonprofit organizations. So we're all interrelated and interconnected, and I think everything we've shared today is a celebration of that. So thank you all. We have 2 proclamations today. First, I'm going to invite Councilmember Sanchez-Jones and Vice Mayor McGuire to head down to the podium, and they have a proclamation to share honoring Hispanic Heritage Month.
My pleasure to read the proclamation for Hispanic and Latinx Heritage Month. Whereas the United States observes National Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15th through October 15th each year, honoring the heritage, histories, cultures, and enduring contributions of those whose ancestors were indigenous to the Americas, as well as those who came from Spain, the Caribbean, Central and South America, and beyond. Whereas what... Oh, each one?
Yes.
Gotcha. My bad.
Es un orgullo para mí estar aquí hoy y leer la proclamación del Mes de la Herencia Hispana. Considerando que los Estados Unidos observan el Mes de la Herencia Hispana cada año del 15 de septiembre al 15 de octubre, honrando la herencia histórica, la herencia historia, cultura y las innumerables contribuciones de aquellos cuyos antepasados fueron indígenas de las Américas, así como de quienes llegaron a España el Caribe, Centro y Suramérica y más allá.
Whereas what began in 1968 as Hispanic Heritage Week under President Johnson and was expanded by President Reagan in 1988 to cover a 30-day period.
Considerando que esta conmemoración comenzó en el 1968 como la Semana de la Herencia Hispana bajo el presidente Johnson y fue ampliada en el 1988 por el presidente Reagan a un periodo de 30 días.
Whereas the 2025 national theme is Collective Heritage, Honoring the Past, Inspiring the Future, selected by the National Council of Hispanic Employment Program Managers, encouraging reflection on how our shared legacies guide tomorrow's possibilities.
Considerando que el lema nacional del 2025 es Herencia Colectiva, honrando el pasado, inspirando el futuro, seleccionado por el Consejo Nacional de los Gerentes de Programas de Empleo Hispano, los cuales nos invita a reflexionar cómo nuestros legados compartidos guían las posibilidades del mañana.
Whereas Hispanic and Latinx individuals have enriched our nation and our city as community organizers, civil rights advocates, educators, public servants, healthcare professionals, artists, scientists, first responders, business owners, athletes, inventors, and more.
Considerando que los individuos hispanos y latinos han enriquecido nuestra comunidad y nación y en nuestra ciudad como organizadores comunitarios, defensores de los derechos civiles, educadores, servidores públicos, profesionales de la salud, artistas, científicos, socorristas, empresarios, atletas e inventores y mucho más.
Whereas in the city of Roanoke, Hispanic and Latinx residents enrich our community through cultural festivals such as Local Colors, Hispanic Heritage Month, local businesses, civic engagement, and artistic expression, contributing to the city's growing diversity and vitality.
Considerando que en la ciudad de Roanoke los residentes hispanos y latinos enriquecen nuestra comunidad a través de festivales culturales como Local Colors, Mes de la Herencia Hispana, negocios locales y participación física y expresión artística, contribuyendo a la creciente diversidad y vitalidad de la ciudad.
Whereas the Hispanic and Latinx communities in Roanoke contribute significantly to our cultural vibrancy, economic vitality, and civic life, strengthening our shared sense of community and identity.
Considerando que las comunidades hispanas y latinas en Roanoke contribuyen significativamente a nuestra vitalidad cultural y económica y cívica, fortaleciendo nuestro sentido compartido de comunidad e identidad.
Now, therefore, I, Stephen Terry McGuire, Vice Mayor of the City of Roanoke, on behalf of Joseph L. Cobb, Mayor of the City of Roanoke, Virginia, do hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th, 2025, throughout this great 8-time All-American city as National Hispanic Heritage Month in the City of Roanoke.
Por lo tanto, yo, Vivian Sánchez Jones, concejal de esta ciudad, a nombre del alcalde, de nuestro alcalde Joseph L. Cobb, alcalde de la ciudad de Roanoke, Virginia, proclamo por la presente que el 15 de septiembre al 15 de octubre 2025, en esta gran ciudad galardonada 8 veces como la ciudad All American, se celebrará el Mes Nacional de la Herencia Hispana a la ciudad de Roanoke. Thank you.
Now, I'm going to come down and offer a proclamation for Community Planning Month, and I'd like to ask our Director of Planning, Jillian Papa, to join me, please, and anyone else you want to invite. Whereas change is constant and affects all cities, towns, suburbs, counties, boroughs, townships, rural areas, and other places. whereas planners can help navigate this change with data-driven insights and expertise that provide better choices for how people work and live. Whereas community planning provides an opportunity for all residents to be meaningfully involved in making choices that determine the future of their community. Whereas the full benefits of planning require public, elected, and appointed officials who understand, support, and demand excellence in planning and plan implementation. Whereas the month of October is designated as National Community Planning Month throughout the United States and its territories. Whereas the American Planning Association endorses National Community Planning Month as an opportunity to highlight how planning is essential to every community and how planners are uniquely positioned to identify solutions to communities' most difficult housing, transportation, and land use questions. And whereas the celebration of National Community Planning Month gives us the opportunity to publicly recognize the participation and dedication of planning staff who have contributed their time and expertise to the improvement of the city of Roanoke. Now therefore, I, Joseph L. Cobb, Mayor of the City of Roanoke, do hereby proclaim the month of October throughout this great 8-time All-America city as Community Planning Month. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor Cobb, Vice Mayor, members of council. It is a great honor to be recognized. It is a truly special profession that we get to call ourselves planners. But most of all, I want to introduce our hardworking and talented planning staff. This is not everybody, but who we have with us today. Wayne Leftwich, planning manager and key contributor and leader of our comprehensive plan update. We have our newest planning team member, Colette Baumgartner. She's a project planner. We have Emily Clark with us today, our board and commission specialist. And last but certainly not least, our planning commission agent, Catherine Gray.
If I may, this is clearly something that I'm very interested in as a planner myself, and I just want to say thank you to the staff for what you guys do in our city. We are leaders in this state because of what you guys do every day, and I know that a lot of people think it's voodoo, but a lot of it is data-driven, and so I appreciate your hard work and the way that you guys interact with our community day in and day out.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's-
Well, I meant to give a shout out earlier to Mr. Roman, one of our deputy city managers, as well as our sound technicians in the back room. You never get to see them, but they do great work through RVTV to make sure that we can hear each other and that our broadcast goes well. But we have a new sound system in the chambers. In addition to new speakers here, we have a new speaker at the stand for citizens and other presenters. So you may hear some feedback or adjustments as today's really the first official meeting that we're testing it out in. So thanks to everyone who made that possible. All right, we are now ready for a hearing of citizens upon public matters, and this is a time that council sets aside as a priority for our citizens to be heard. All matters will be referred to the city manager for response, recommendation, or report back to council as she may deem appropriate. Madam Secretary or Clerk, do we have anyone signed up today?
We have two people.
Okay.
Sylvia King and Chris Kraft.
and you may
Excellent.
come in that order. You have 5 minutes.
Welcome, Ms. King.
So graciously, thanks for coming in today to, I'm just going to be real. The Lord Summons told me to come to this meeting today and speak on a topic that I didn't realize that today or this month was National Community Planning Month. And what he wanted me to speak on is that, you know, dealing with the city manager and your code managers in reference to what's going on in the area of the budget cuts in the nation. And one of them that's coming is, you know, cutting the SNAPs, food stamps, cutting Medicaid and Medicare, and the insurance, grocery bills that they're going to eliminate in the fiscal year of '26. And I know this is the latter part of the fiscal year of 2025 budget. So I don't know when y'all begin the budget of the fiscal year of 2026, but we're going to have to come up with a plan because it's going to be needed. Because when it's cutting the budget for the children, the families, and the schools, and things like that, we don't need starvation in the city because we already got issues of homelessness. So I just want to be able to hear what I need to say and present it to not only the city council, but the city management because it deals with the budget. And it's a major issue because what's going to happen? Crime is going to increase. And I don't care if you from the higher level or the lower level of society, it's going to be, we all going to be dealing with it, you know? So that's that part of what I was told to say. And confirmation, once again, is that National Community Planning Month. And I just hope that we all go into prayer, because prayer changes things. And if we be on one accord, because see, this is not about racism or anything like that, because it's dealing with humanity. And we all got a stomach. And we all need food, unless you're going to be fasting. So therefore, you know, we got to come up with a plan. So I just hope not only do you hear what I'm saying for the people, that we don't have to rise up and say, where are we going to get food from? Are we going to get it from the community banks, food banks? Or how are they going to provide? Because they're going to get hit also. So that is the main purpose of that. That's business. But I also want to give a shout out to the one and only Mayor Cobbs. Because Mayor Cobbs, he is, I'm part of the Bragg's Bus Advocate Group. And he did a great job for the week without driving. I mean, people don't realize, and he realized due to the fact he sacrificed and went out there and did that, because I ride the bus, and I'm part of the bus thing. And you know, hey, you got a plan. Bus don't wait on you, you wait on the bus. That's that thing. And if you miss the bus, you got another hour to wait. So I just thank Mayor Cobbs on behalf of Braggs and our President Hartman and the other team members that we appreciate that you took the time out and participate. And I had a young gentleman said, you know, I want to get involved with what's going on in the city. but I don't see anybody else doing anything. I said, that's not true, because your mayor, if you know what your mayor doing, he's involved with a lot of things in the city. He shows up to all different kind of events going on. I said, if he can do it, we all can do it. So I just thank you for the opportunity, and let us all remember, we're in this situation together. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. King. Mr. Kraft, welcome.
How to get here.
Welcome back.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cobb, Mayor, City Council. A few things I'd like to discuss today is the first one is thank you for participating in the bus week, but I think we need to bring every half-hour bus service back. That would help our citizens a whole lot. And I want to address something that's been going around the city called misinformation. Being an election year, there's a lot of misinformation out there. As a member of the Civic Center Commission, there's a lot of misinformation. The Berglund Company does have naming rights to the Berglund Center, but because of the past city council is the reason that, and I know the new city manager doesn't know this, probably, is the reason that the Civic Center has to be supplemented so much. They took away the gun shows, which used to bring in an average of 125 million each show. That's a lot of money. And I think we need to bring them back because they were well organized. The police department, state police, federal agents were all there, and it was a great thing. And I think we need to bring it back to help subsidize our Civic Center and make it a better place. Because when people come from other places and they see it falling apart, that makes Roanoke look bad. And I thank you all for allowing Berglund's to put their name on the building, and I hope we can get that back up and request for proposals put back out soon, because that contract is about to expire and that's going to be more money on the city. And I want to, speaking about Civic Center, I want to thank Sam Roman. Every other month he takes the time out to come to our meetings, keeps us informed of what's going on, how we can make the Civic Center better with what we got. He really is dedicated to helping our committee make the Civic Center better, and I want to thank him for that. The next thing is what's happening with our streets in the city. 2 years ago, the city used to paint the lines on the roads twice a year. They haven't been painted in most places in over 2 years. Go down 10th Street, you can't see the yellow lines. You go down 460 in sections, you can't see the white bars. Nobody knows where to stop. The yellow lines are faded out. And when I ask traffic engineering about it, I get no reply. We need to keep these lines painted at least once a year. Also, the vape shops. I have several in the Wildwood Neighborhood Association. And I don't think it's fair to put such a big tax on one business. We got more vape shops coming to Roanoke. If you didn't know, the old 7-Eleven on Williamson Road is going to be turned into a vape shop. The old, what used to be Dunkin' Donuts across from Hardee's on Williamson Road is going to be another vape shop. If we're going to keep letting these open up, and y'all want to charge a tax on vapes to those shops, you need to go to Speedway, Sheetz, Wawa when it opens. Treat everybody fair, but not such a huge tax that they're going to leave the city. And the last thing is, as Mayor Cobb, the last time I saw you was at the Salem Civic Center when Wawa announced that they were coming to Roanoke. And they're slowly but surely coming to the Wildwood neighborhood, and they're hoping to be open by this time next year. So I'm hoping that we can get all this road construction that VDOT wants to do with the stupid median things done before they open up, so it'll be a great impression on people coming from Wawa headquarters, that they can see how great of a city all-star city that we live in. That because of the participation of Mayor Lee, City Council is the reason that, and Neighborhood Association, the reason Wawa is coming. And I want to thank you for all the help, and Ms. Gray too.
Thank you, Mr. Kraft. All right, any other speakers?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. We'll move now to our consent agenda. And all items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by members of the council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of the items, but if discussion is desired, the item may be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. I'll entertain a motion and second for the approval of the consent agenda.
Consent agenda.
Thank you, Council Members Volleson and Powers. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Sanchez Jones. Aye. Vice Mayor McGuire.
Aye.
Mr. Nash. Aye. Mr. Volleson. Aye. Ms. Powers. Aye. Mr. Hagan. Aye. And Mayor Cobb.
Aye, and the consent agenda is adopted. Moving on to our regular agenda, we have no public hearings or petitions and communications, so we'll move right into our reports of city officers and the city manager. And we have a couple of briefings this afternoon. I'll turn to our city manager, Ms. Val-Marie Turner, to introduce the briefings.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. Please allow me first to introduce Landon Howard, who serves as the president of the Visit Virginia's Blue Ridge, here to do their annual presentation.
Welcome, Mr. Howard. It's good to see you.
And a very good afternoon to you, Mr. Mayor, and to members of council, and to the city manager who serves on our board and is very active, and we're grateful for her and her leadership as part of that. And anyway, we have some great news to share with you all. Yeah, but all of that we share would not be possible without you as a council who provides us with the investments necessary for us to make money for the city. And there's no way that we could do what we do, not only without you all, but without a very supportive board of directors. And we have several board members that are here, and I would like to ask them if they would please stand. And you'll see some familiar faces. We have two new board members. One is Mike Stewart from the airport, and you'll see a guy named Sherman Lee, who is now working with us. Sherman Lee was so instrumental in helping us with the CIAA and getting the football tournament here, cross country, the volleyball, and we hope a lot more. But he's Mr. Sports, and he was a member of the Hall of Fame for CIAA. So I appreciate the board coming and being part of us and their support. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here today.
Well, we have great news from the standpoint of hotel occupancy tax collections, and this is for the region that we represent. That would include the city of Roanoke, Roanoke County, Salem, Franklin, and Botetourt. We are over 10 million. You'll see that 24 and 25 is not there yet. We have one jurisdiction that has not reported yet, but just from what we're seeing, it's going to be well above the 10.5 million in terms of tax collections. The other thing that we're really excited about is that we, in 2024 calendar year, produced the largest impact on tourism than at any point in our history. And you'll see that it's 923 million in direct spending. If you look at that in comparison to COVID, the COVID year prior, 2019 we thought was a pretty good year, but between 2019 and 25, we generated 25% more impact since the COVID years. And this is all about kitchen table issues too. I've been in this business for a long time, and I realize that the people that need their jobs in this industry, they need the hours, and it's 7,500 of our local citizens work full time in this industry. And we work really hard every day to make sure they have 40-plus hours a week when they're working at a hotel or a restaurant. It means a lot to us to know that we're making a difference in people's lives every day. It's also important, I think, that you all know, too, we don't get a single dollar from the general fund. Our bed tax collections at 3 percentage points out of the 8 of what comes to us. And you all keep 5/8, which is used for schools and also other things. And so we're happy to be part of that. The other thing that is really neat, if you look at our entire region, again, the direct spending was $923 million. But the city of Roanoke actually had direct spending of visitors of $534 million. And that's 58% of the total for the entire region. So the city of Roanoke is the hub. It is what we refer to, and has long been, many years, the capital of the Blue Ridge. We own the mountains, and people know that. And so it's great that we've taken ownership of it, and this is the capital of the Blue Ridge. And as a result of that, we receive tremendous benefit. Our work generates $528 million, as I mentioned, and out of that, $25.5 million is generated just in local taxes just for the city of Roanoke. That's just not my number. This comes from the state. The state provides us with this. So this is a major industry. Looking at local tax revenues, and this is we figured this out for the first time this year, and it really shocked us, and we were happy to be able to report this. There are over 43,000 households in the city of Roanoke. And with the $25.5 million, that means that travel and tourism lowers the tax bill for every household in the city of Roanoke by $597. Because we've got a dynamic travel and tourism industry, and fresh, clean new dollars are coming in, our citizens pay less taxes, and that we know that that is absolutely critical. If you look at the city of Roanoke provides around 53% of our total funding in terms of our jurisdictional partners. But I will tell you, regionalism works. Because if you look, 47% of our budget comes from the other jurisdictions, which means that we basically get to double our marketing budget. And we also, and I don't know if this is politically correct to say this, but we also get to annex them, get to annex their product and lay claim to everything from McAfee's Knob to the James River to you name it. Because our neighbors that touch our borders, they're not our competition. I'll tell you who I think of every day. It's people like the Poconos, Charleston, West Virginia, Asheville. My job is to beat them out of market share and get as much business here as we possibly can, because we are the better vacation choice, in my opinion. I've been asked about our board. We have 34 board members at this point, and if you look at the breakdown of the board, 47% of our board are residents in the city, and they also are voters, taxpayers. And if you look at our board, 62% own businesses in the city of Roanoke or work in the city. So we're all connected, and not only that, but our visitors do not see county lines and city limits, and again, the city of Roanoke is the hub. Now, though, we need to get into a little bit deeper here. Next is our 2024 lodging performance. I've said this to council before, I'm going to say it again. We've got a capacity issue, folks. We've got a capacity issue. If I could get another Hotel Roanoke built with conference center space, we would fill it up within 2 years. There's no doubt in my mind. The demand is that strong. And we need more hotels with space. They need to be quality hotels. and we could really knock it out of the ballpark.
Excuse me.
And then,
I just
yes.
wanted to know what the, it says the thousands, what are the units that are on there? Because you've got 9.
It is kind of confusing, yeah.
Yeah.
We have, what I was going to mention is it has to do with, in terms of our capacity. If you look at the supply, our supply is down in 2024. But I'm about to go to another slide that's going to show you something different, which means that that does impact demand because we don't have enough rooms. But during 2024, we also had to take into account that the Hotel Roanoke and
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
If I may, that didn't answer the question exactly. So is that like 900,000 room nights, or is it rooms, or what is the supply of?
That is what, 911 potential room night supply.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sorry, I didn't answer that. But out of that, we had 582,000 sold, okay? But you'll see also, look at short-term rentals. Short-term rentals is up 32.5%. So many of our sporting events, people want to come in and stay in homes. You know, I mean, that's what they prefer. I mean, and what we want to do is we want to be able to provide what our customers want. But last year, we had the Hotel Roanoke out, the Swing House Suites by Marriott, and then if you look at 2025, they're back online. We have the Spark by Hilton that's now open, the Colony House, and you can see what's happened. Revenues are up. For a fact, if you look at 2025, for the first 6 months, we have the highest, in terms of percentage growth, we're 3 times higher than the United States. 3 times higher in terms of percentage growth, in terms of revenue and demand. The United States is kind of flat, but we've been doing pretty well. I've been doing this now for about 40 years. I can't believe that I got started in this business in 1986. I was in charge of marketing Chattanooga and Southeast Tennessee, and that was great. But I feel very fortunate every day to be right here in Roanoke and Virginia's Blue Ridge, without question, one of the most beautiful places on the planet. And I've got Deborah Wright here that's going to be talking to us a little bit more detail about our spring campaign. But I'd like to ask our department heads to stand, because they're the ones that make it happen. They're as smart as a whip, let me tell you. And I am very fortunate to have these people working on our team. And I'll be back, but I wanted Deborah to be able to talk a few minutes.
Thank you all for being here today. We appreciate it. Welcome, Ms. Wright.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So Visit Virginia's Blue Ridge has generated record numbers last fiscal year with over 2 million unique visitors to the website. So that's new visitors coming to our website the entire year, which is equivalent basically to 5,500 unique visitors or new visitors per day. So in addition to that number, we had over 6.3 million social engagement. So again, this is not followers, this is people who are engaging with our content, liking, sharing, or commenting on it. So most of this was led in part due to our 2025 spring campaign. We launched this April through July. It hit the Northern Virginia, DC market, as well as Richmond. We kind of branched out a little bit from what we've done in the past. And this utilized mostly those digital campaigns. And we did this because we wanted to be able to track what was coming in, but also just based on the economy and the climate in the Northern Virginia area. We wanted to be able to pivot and adjust as needed. So what are the results? And I apologize, I think we had a little different font that's not up here, so bear with us with these slides. But we're really excited to show the campaign ran from April through July, and these numbers are through August. Again, because that's how our information comes in for the lodging data. A typical rule of thumb is that you want to measure that out 90 days, so this is really only measuring 30 days, but we wanted to make sure that we had these numbers to you. And we used tourism economics, which is also what the industry uses and what the state uses as their data platform. We were able to track attribution to all of our digital advertising, with the exception of social media and then like your Google paid or organic, which is a substantial amount. But what we wanted to present today is going to be a very conservative number that we're very comfortable with. So what we've done is we know the people who have seen our advertising via digital, they came to our website, and from that we can actually track that they came in to Virginia's Blue Ridge and to the area. Again, over those 4 months only. So that resulted in 19,156 observed visits. And then from that, we know from our conversion studies, as well as state information, that an average party size is 2.2, and their spend is $306. So when we look at that, we end up with almost $13 million just based on that 3.5-month campaign alone. So what does that mean for the city? If we look at that 58%, we're looking at $7.5 million, again, return on investment for just specifically that campaign. So we're excited about those numbers. We feel very fortunate to have these tools and the technology in order to do this. You know, looking at this, we just started the software in April. So this is really going to be our baseline for the information, and we're excited that we're going to have a full year's worth of information that we'll be able to even present next year. So for a further in-depth information on our research and some of our numbers, we do have a partner summit focusing on that research, and that is tomorrow at Holiday Inn at 3:30, so we hope that you're able to attend. At that time, we'll go even more in depth on the spring campaign, as well as USA Cycling and some of the state information. So just a couple programs of note are the VBR Restaurant Week. So we were excited. We launched this basically the first week of June. It was a collaboration between Visit Virginia's Blue Ridge as well as the economic development departments. The city was a big part of that. We had 77 participating restaurants, and 34 of them were in the city. And in this, and you do have this presentation in your packet, so you can probably read it a little bit closer. But we did have a quote from Jason Martin saying that he saw his the attendance and the people coming into his restaurant increase by 20 to 25%. Another campaign that we're launching, first ever holiday campaign. So this is actually launching next week. It'll go October through December. And with that, we're really going to be focusing on boosting kind of our shoulder season of November and December. And this will focus on those seasonal events, performances, arts and culture, retail, as well as shopping. Public relations complements everything that we do. For marketing, we had 320 travel articles that were published, and of those, the city of Roanoke was included in 295. This list of publications is in your packet for you to review, and if you have any questions about that, please let us know, and we can make sure that we have links and can send that to you. In addition, we had 191 travel writers actually visit last year, so a lot of those, we're still not seeing those articles yet. They're still coming in. Including 53 media that we hosted from the Mid-Atlantic Tourism Alliance that came in, and we were really excited to host that group. So again, we're still seeing a lot of that coming in. So here's some of the major headlines, basically, of the articles that are included, again, in your packet. The Destination Brand Alliance. I think many of you all have heard us talking about this. Many of you all have participated in it. We're working with a company called Residence. It's an international company. With that, they came in April, did a site visit, as well as interviewed and or did focus groups with many of you. So again, we appreciate your help. This is us working in collaboration with the Roanoke Regional Partnership. How can we be more intentional about attracting people who can ultimately then come as talent acquisition or for economic development? So again, having that consistent brand narrative. Community relations is key. We have 1,688 partners. 736 of those are in the city. So again, they have free membership. It's a benefit based on your contribution to our funding. So again, we are driving visitation to them, which ultimately helps our businesses as well as the city. We engage with many partners through annual meeting, the Partnership Summit, Hotel Attractions Networking, as well as our visitor center, which is a key area. So we do engage with over 17,000 visitors through the visitor center, as well as events where we have booths and we're sending out information, sending them to our partners. And again, we also invite you to the annual meeting. So that's October 23rd at 5 o'clock, and that's at Braylock and Glenbird Farms. Meetings and conventions. So we hosted 61 meetings, had servicing for 64, and we sold over 20,000 room nights for a direct spending impact of over $12 million. So again, the majority of these meetings came and they were at Hotel Roanoke. So the city definitely saw the impact of that. In addition, we do incentives to bring groups in, and last year we spent about $140,000 in doing that. Sports, we hosted 74 sports events that we brought in, service 65, and then we had over 87,000 athletes that came in, and that's a direct spending of about $20,000. Again, this comes through Destination International Economic Impact Engine, so again, what the tourism industry uses to determine this. Again, that's kind of throughout the valley, but I will point out that most of the athletes are staying in the city. Again, we have an incentive program here as well of over $316,000 for bringing in sports. And just to kind of note some of the events that we have specifically in the city, and then wanted to bring this one up, which is women's flag football. We had that for the first time this year. That was in March of this year. It was at Spring Hill Suites. We had 518 athletes and 700 spectators, and that was $500,000. That was a direct spending. And then, well, we had this little bike race that you may have heard about with the mountain biking, and we have some familiar suspects here. So we greatly appreciate Mayor Cobb as well as Faison Nash presenting awards for this event. So thank you for that. And again, this could not have happened without the support of all of our partners, especially the city of Roanoke. So we greatly appreciate that. So let's talk about the success of this real quickly. The economic impact for this event was $2.6 million. We had 1,288 participants that basically stayed here for a week, and a lot of them actually came in prior to the event, like a month or two, and then also came in prior to the event just days ahead of time. Total registrations was almost 2,400. There were 44 states represented. You can see our spectator. They loved the crowds. All the athletes are still talking about that, especially at the Elmwood event. And then I like to point out that we had 475 volunteers, and we kind of had a little incentive that if they brought in a certain number from a group, we gave back to their organization. Social media was huge, getting the word out there, as well as media as a whole. You can also see what we were covering as it related to local media. And then you can see the lodging here as well, with short-term rentals was up 31% that week. So again, a lot of these individual athletes like the short-term rentals, but also with hotels, we were up 7.3 that week. And then I like to just kind of point out the little quote there that this was pulled from social media. And this is a perfect example of what we're talking about with destination alignment. How can we bring in these groups, whether that's meetings or sports, that they see our area and then ultimately want to move here and help with talent. So I'd like to take this opportunity. Again, another example is we want to focus on let the visitor pay for the quality of life for the residents. That's really our focus. And with that, a perfect example is we added a $10 registration fee to every athlete that came in. And with partnership with USA Cycling, we raised $22,400, and we're splitting that between Roanoke City and Roanoke County. So we'd like to present a check for $11,200 to the city of Roanoke. Mayor Cobb, we would love for you to come up as well as City Council. And this goes back for the development and the maintenance of the trails that we think is so important.
Thank you,
And then
Deborah.
we also have another little gift.
So thank you all. This would not have happened, though, without our Parks and Recreation team. So
Absolutely.
It's so convenient that you all are here today. If you all would come up as well, and we'll be glad.
So absolutely, we could not have done it without everyone's help. And then in addition, John Oney has a jersey as a gift. And this is the winning jersey, or a jersey that is signed by the two elite female and male from the event at Elmwood Park. So congratulations. Let me get out of the way.
I'll be fine.
All right, I apologize, we went a little longer than 20 minutes, but if you have any questions, we'll be happy to take those.
I'd like to just say thank you for what y'all do. So I would tell you, last Friday, we signed a contract with Hotel Roanoke to bring the annual 2027 Treasure Association of Virginia annual conference back to Roanoke. We had it in 2018, and it was great. And I want to thank you. I don't even know which lady I talked to out there, but I went out and picked up a lot of your brochures, because how it works, the incoming president gets to host it in their locality, and the incoming president is in Patrick County, and unfortunately, they don't have a conference center. And I said, but we do, and we count you as our neighbor. So we worked with Hotel Roanoke, and I'm really excited that it's going to be here in Roanoke in June of 2027.
Thank you,
So
thank you
thank
so
you.
much. We'll take
But
good
thank
care of it.
your group for all the information that you gave us that helped us make that decision
We'll
to
take good
get
care
that
of them when
conference
they're
here. You're welcome.
All questions, comments? Mr. Volleson, we'll just work our way down.
First off, I want to state that you guys are doing a great job. We are really, tourism is so important to Roanoke, and I think probably behind Carillion in healthcare is our second biggest industry, and something that we want to grow. And so that's why it's important that y'all are successful. And I'm one of those folks that wants you to succeed, because we obviously get plenty of benefit out of that from here in the city. But on that same note, I have a few questions about the presentation, and then I have a couple of questions generally. First off, you gave us a breakdown of the board members. Could you break down the executive board? Because it's my understanding that the executive board is the one that makes the majority of the decisions. So where are those folks located?
Well, we have, let's see, the majority of them are live in the city of Roanoke. And
On the executive.
right off the top of my head, it's hard to figure it out, but I know the chair of the board, past chair, and also one other member, and then also Val Marie Turner, so that's a total of 4. That's for the city of Roanoke, and then I think 3 for Roanoke County, and then 1 for Salem, 1 for Botetourt, and 1 for Franklin.
Next time, if you could add that to the presentation, that'd be helpful.
Sure.
Thank you. The other question I had is about the lodging data. I'm looking at the data, and we have on slide number 10, you have that the supply is 911,000, if I'm not mistaken. But then we go to the next year, and it says 635,000, and it says that there's a plus 4.9%.
Yes.
That's less than what was in the
Well,
previous.
and one is 12-month period, and the other one is an 8-month period.
Okay. That's helpful. And then, I know you said it very quickly, but with the engagements that you had, there's engagements where I see something, or a view, if you will. Are these meaningful engagements where people are clicking through to the, so are those 6 million, are those all people that click through?
So they are engaged, which would mean they've engaged with it, liked, shared, or commented, not
liked,
just
shared.
views.
My next question for you is on slide 14, where we're talking about the spring marketing campaign. I was a little bit confused because it said that there was 19,000 visits during that time, and we previously talked about the 2 million visits and that being roughly 5,500 per day. So that seems like a low number to me compared to what we're talking about with the
Okay.
total counts.
So, so what we're saying here, the first number, okay, do we need to, do you have the clicker? Thank you. Okay. Looking at this number, this is new visitors to the website, and then I said 5,500 visitors to the website, okay?
Okay, so,
And that is Visit Virginia's Blue Ridge website.
okay.
So this, again, we have tried to go as conservative as we can. This is actually visitors that are coming to, we had a specific page dedicated to this website or to this campaign.
Okay.
And it's only tracking people who saw the ad, who went to the website, and then actually visited from Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia, and Richmond. Nobody else.
All right, thank you.
And
That's
we're
helpful.
able
So that's what I said. I mean, we've really, the number is much larger, but we wanted to come to you, would rather go low than high. So we went very conservative.
And we're able to track the visitation. I mean, most of that is through cell phone data. And also we have credit card spend as well.
On that same note, I've noticed that it says an estimated ROI for the city. We didn't,
Yeah.
I don't think you really said what was invested.
So it ends up being the investment, total investment was $650,000. So the overall campaign, you're looking at the 20-to-1 return on investment. So it's hard to break up specifically what was used for the city for that unless you just take a percentage, but yes.
All right.
It's direct spending,
So that campaign was 650,000.
correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Every year you guys are supposed to come here to talk about your tourism strategy. So I'm wondering, is there a tourism strategy for the city of Roanoke? And what are your tourism goals for the city of Roanoke over the next 5 years?
I know we've been speaking with the city manager, and we have requested a working session with council in January, and so that we can go over that.
If I'm not mistaken, you guys went through a strategic planning this year?
Actually, what we've done is that we had a board strategic plan, which is specifically for the board, but we wanted to do this in January after we get the results of the destination alignment, which should be completed sometime in November.
So you don't have any KPIs or other items that you guys track for the city, or that there's no goal to reach in?
We have KPIs overall, and of course, the end result of 58% spend is really what matters to everybody. And so we have, what we do is based off of best practices and what the industry measures are, and we provide those measures to the board executive committee and actually post it online. If you do visit Virginia's Blue Ridge Board of Directors, you can go in under each one of our meetings, and you can see minutes, you can see board reports, you can see activity, you can see everything that we're doing right there.
And I'd like to add, so we have the KPIs for each department. We have goals for every year, and we share those monthly at exec and board meetings, and all of that is available online. In addition, we do have tourism economics now that we do a monthly report, and we can see that exact return on investment overall, and we can break that out by jurisdiction.
And it is very detailed. I'm talking about like 12 pages long, and it's impressive.
Not about the numbers, it's about how they're used.
Mhm.
And so that's where, if you have KPIs that you're doing every month or so, why aren't we seeing those up here? Those are the things that we want to see as the numbers. We want to see that things are growing from month to month, year to year, and those types of things. Whereas I feel like in this, we're just getting what are the numbers, but we're not getting comparisons, and I don't know what those KPIs are. From what I can tell, you know, there was a, hold on, you guys had a slide with KPIs. Yeah, on this exact slide, you have KPIs, but I don't know what the KPIs are on there. What are the key performance indicators of this?
Right, and that's, I mean, that's what we're saying, is that we have that for every month. We are producing that we have a goal, and we're showing what those are at the board meetings.
And we provide those to, as required to the city manager.
Okay, so could you give me an example of some of those KPIs?
Oh, absolutely. So unique visitors to the website, page views, and then also e-newsletters that are coming in. We talked about from the public relations aspect, the number of articles, the number of people that are hosted. For meetings and sports, we're looking at the number of leads, the number of bookings, the number of athletes or meeting planners that are coming in, and then the overall direct spending on all those.
All right, my next question is, how much of the funds generated from Roanoke City, we roughly pay about $2 million into this every year, are spent on marketing for Roanoke City?
I would say all of it, because Roanoke is the core of what we do. It's the hub, it's the capital of the Blue Ridge. We present Roanoke as just about everything we do.
I appreciate that sentiment, but not everything that you do is Roanoke-based. So my question is, again, how much of that is actually spent on marketing Roanoke City?
We don't specifically, we market the region of which the Roanoke is the hub, and it is the core where most people stay when they come in for tournaments, at one in Botetourt or one in Salem. Most people are staying here. So, you know, we look at this from a macro economy standpoint, because when our visitors are looking and making choices as to where to go, let's say they look at Asheville. They're not just looking at the downtown Asheville by themselves. They're looking at things that are in and around Asheville that they can be part of. Same thing in the Poconos. There's not one specific city or town that they would be looking at, but they're going to the Poconos. So what as I said earlier in our presentation, we use things like McAfee's Knob, or whether it be the James River, whether it be the tournaments that go on in Salem, but by and large, most of those people stay in Roanoke.
I appreciate that, but I'm here to represent the Roanoke City taxpayer. And so the Roanoke City taxpayer wants to know, we're putting in this money, what are we getting out from it?
Well, I think I've demonstrated that to you in the presentation, that when we market holistically as a region, that our citizens here in Roanoke benefit most from that. We can't really break apart all aspects of our region. We can talk about arts and culture. We have people travel based off of not what the county lines and the city limits are. I think that you know that. Yeah, that maybe they come in for arts and culture. Maybe they come in for sports. Maybe they come in for hiking. Maybe they come in for enjoying water attractions. You know, that some of the water's in downtown Roanoke on the Roanoke River. There's other places within the region that has water. What it boils down to is that we have to use what makes for a destination. Now, I've done this for 40 years, and I'm telling you, I know what I'm talking about. It's the variety of things that you can offer the visitor that will attract them into the core. And the more we can show people that, so that it's like a menu. You know, you go to a restaurant, people want seafood, they want beef, they're vegetarian, they want to be able to have choices. And so what we do is we give them choices so we can compete against other mountain vacation destinations.
You're telling me that you have information based on cell phone data and other things to tell you where people are staying and stuff like that, but you can't tell me how much of your spend is actually directed towards Roanoke City or includes Roanoke City in it?
As I said, I would say 98% of all that we do includes Roanoke.
It's the metro to our metro mountain, and what we're measuring is the direct spending then, that the city is getting 58%.
My question is, you are an organization that is supposed to be promoting this area, and in this case, I'm asking about the city, because in previous years, it's been brought to your attention that there's been a lot of promotion of other areas. So if you go to Franklin County and do this same presentation, do you say that you're spending $5 million or however much you guys do every year on Franklin counties?
No.
Okay, so that's where we'd like to know a little bit more data about what is actually the city's return on investment. And this is a question that I have posed to you for probably, I've been on council 3 years now, and this is the third year we've asked for what is the return on investment for the citizens of Roanoke, and we have yet to get that answer other than we put this money, or this much money was spent in hotel taxes, which if I go and tell my friends to come visit, that money is going to be counted by y'all as money that is hotel taxes that are here, but that doesn't mean you spent anything or did anything to get those people here. So there is granular ways to break this stuff up. I find it interesting that now we're all together in this, and there's no way to divide anything out.
Do you have any other questions?
I do.
All right, can you consolidate your questions so we can get to the other folks on council, please? Thank you.
What were the results of the brand study that you guys have done, and how many people referenced the Virginia's Blue Ridge?
The destination branding that we've done, for fact, we did an over 1,000 survey, and we have more that we can show you. But Virginia's Blue Ridge, especially for the Northern Virginia market, came out as the #1 thing.
Over Roanoke.
Over Roanoke.
That is not what my understanding is of this.
Well,
at all.
Well, we've got the numbers.
We've
and
got
we'll
that less
share
than
that
1%.
presentation.
We have the numbers.
Okay. I'd like to see those, if you wouldn't mind turning those
Al
into us.
Marie Turner has those, but we'll be happy to share them with you as well.
Well, Ms. Turner, does that sound correct?
We had planned on
Through the
speaking,
destination
we're still pulling together that project. For fact, we have another meeting with the regional partnership.
My understanding is that over 50% of people said that Roanoke is where they live, not Virginia's Blue Ridge, and that the amount of people that said that was very, very low, less than 5%. I'll move on to my next question.
Those are two different studies.
Yeah, let me clarify something on this. We were looking at visitors, the people that are outside our area, and yes, Virginia's Blue Ridge came out by and large at the top.
Why are there no term limits for the chair and other officers of the executive committee in the bylaws? A recent redraft furnished to our city manager indicated that you did not instigate term limits as per the recommendations of a board subcommittee. In fact, you completely ignored the board subcommittee's recommendations. Can you explain?
We will let the chair come up since I have nothing to do with the board.
I'm going to let that be the last question.
No, you need to be the microphone.
Gordon Joe. That's it. That's all I've got left.
Wrap it up, please.
Council. So we have added, the chair, I've got 2 years. That's it. And then the board can vote for another 2 years if so being. But that's been added.
So why is it that appointees from the city, which are laid out in the agreement that we all have done, a regional agreement, which was so important because it is a regional agreement. So why is it that folks that are appointed by this body to represent this body have term limits, and folks who are not appointed by this body are able to serve as long as they'd like?
Well, we have a very diverse board. We had a task force that I think you're all aware of. Susan Short led the task force on the number of boards. He's actually Malcolm's on the same task force. And what we found is, so I actually sat down with Richard Kaywood of the county because the numbers varied, right? If people say 13, they say 23, it's all over. It's 34 right now. By this time, 3 years from now, it'll be at 27 just through attrition. But when Richard and I sat down to do this exercise, we found out that there's so many stakeholders involved. So you have 5 localities. You also have Virginia Tech and Carilion. You have restaurateurs like Sunny, and hoteliers, as well as developers like Alexander Boone, people like that. And so the smallest number we can get to is 27. And so that's what we're going to now. The bylaws are going to be adjusted accordingly. We were going to vote on it last exec meeting, but Val Marie had a conflict, and so she couldn't make it. So we're going to do it this next one with the hope of having it done by November.
How many board members are stated in the regional agreement?
I don't know offhand.
Let me answer that question. I was here during the regional agreement. For a fact, I have had conversations with Chris Morrill, who was the city manager at the time. The regional agreement did not have any specific numbers in there. That is your interpretation.
It is actually in a legal agreement as to how
that
many.
is your interpretation.
I think Mr. Spencer would be question that. There is an actual legal agreement, which you guys have in your boardroom, that states how many people are from the city, how many are from the county. It is nowhere near the 40-something that it was previously. And there's a second board that has been created by folks that have not been appointed by the bodies that were members of that agreement. So you can understand why I'm a little worried about the governance of an organization when there's only supposed to be about 15 people on that. And now you're trying to get down to 27. That's not what we agreed to here in the city or in the county or in Salem or any of those localities. What we agreed to is that regional agreement that you guys might want to go and read on your wall. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Volleson. Mr. Nash?
Yeah. I would just like to say, and I'll start it off by sharing a story. My fiance, Ariana, works at the VA in academic affiliations, and her job and her coworkers' job are to onboard and make sure that all of the residents, all of the future doctors, PAs, nurses, PTs, whatever you're doing clinically, that all their transcripts and everything are being, turned over and everything's good for them to go to the VA and do their residency hours or whatever the case is. And every year they bring in hundreds, like 200-300 residents from all over the country, even the world. And it was super last minute, but I reached out to, and I cannot remember her name. It's probably the same.
Same person
at
I
the
talked
front
to.
desk.
Very helpful.
And I sent Deb an email, and I was like, hey, I need like 300 like flyers, like pamphlets, because of how many people come to the VA and how many would participate in the various residency programs. And you all were able to get those to me within a day's notice, and I was able to go up there and drop off the boxes. And I'll tell you this for a fact. I've been asking Ariana to always kind of ask questions about how they're enjoying the area. And the vast majority of them, they live all over, right? Some of them stay in Roanoke City, Roanoke County, Salem. They kind of stay all over the place. But by large, they love the area, whether it's our mountains from hiking, whether if it's just their potential job outlook with, hey, I'm in the medical field, and even if I'm not at the VA, I have so many medical options in this area to explore between Lewis Gale, which is, not Roanoke City, and then Carillion, which is Roanoke City. And a lot of them cited going to y'all social media and looking at a lot of what you all offer as far as restaurant recommendations and all the things of that such. So I just want to say thank you for the awesome, I would say, customer service element that you all provide in helping us make sure that we're getting our name out there, and as well as all of the resources you provide, digital, through social media, to really help market our region. Because once people get here, even some of my Nova friends, once they get here, they absolutely love it. So thank you all for all y'all do.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor, do you have?
Thank you very much for the presentation. I really appreciate it. And I'll just share quickly a personal story too. I got to work this summer at Roanoke Mountain Adventures and had a fancy title, Water Adventure Manager, but that really just meant running tube shuttling people up and down the river. But I got to talk to people that came to visit from all over the country, and it really reinforced for me the importance of this collaborative regionalism, because some of them would stay in Roanoke, they would do things in the city, they'd go out for the day on Smith Mountain Lake, they'd go to a concert at the Harvester in Franklin County. And I just bumped into that over and over and over again, that people would come down here for exactly as you said, sort of the menu of things that we have. Makes me feel like your job is easy because our region kind of sells itself. So thank you for helping with that. And I'll just end by saying that's part of the reason I'm so passionate about sustainability, is making sure that we continue to grow our tourism sector in a way that's responsible so that we protect these assets, because it's not just nice to look at them. We know that they're really a big piece of our economic development, and we have to protect them for that reason too. So thank you for coming down today, and I appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
Oh, I just want to let you know that I am very proud of our commitment to regional partnerships, and I thank you for your presentation. But I do have a couple of questions, real quick. On the return on investment, is there any way that we could separate, for example, the students that came in, the people that are going to do partnerships in the hospitals, or people that just come here that didn't have any prior knowledge to your advertisement? Could we separate those numbers?
Yes, somewhat. What we can do is track the ones that they did see our messaging.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. And do you have any knowledge if Ironman is coming back and when?
So,
and what are
we're
you
having
doing about it?
discussions. We can have continued discussions with them. And again, with the construction that's happening up on the Blue Ridge Parkway, and until we have an exact date on that, it's hard to plan that, because you've got to plan that multiple years in advance. But we're having discussions, and we hope to bring it back.
It was a great event.
Yes, absolutely.
The National Park Service, my heart goes out to them because they're having a difficult time right now. And, you know, they had the Federal Highway Administration that had told us, unfortunately, that they were going to close down about 23 miles through the Roanoke region here during October at both lanes. And now that with the government shutdown, I don't think they're going to be closing, which may actually be to our benefit, but we've got to get that fixed. And it's good that we have that opportunity to get it fixed. So, and yes, we will be pursuing it again.
Thank you. And a quick question for Mr. Lucas.
For who?
Mr. Mark Lucas?
Yeah.
What is your makeup of your board? How many women serve on that board?
I don't know offhand. It's not enough. Yeah, not enough, clearly.
Any?
I'd say,
Say probably, I'm guessing 11.
Something like that, yeah.
Not 10 or 11.
right, probably 8 to
10,
10,
11
something like
women?
that, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Certainly.
So thank you all. I'm a big believer in regionalism. Pretty much anything that happens in Roanoke City obviously reverberates throughout the county and Salem and all the people that, or all the organizations that you all represent. I did have a question. The observed visits for the Visit Blue Ridge, do you all have, if that's unique visitors or if that's just?
Yes.
If that's unique visitors?
That's a unique visitor.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, so kind of iterate some of my council members, thank you all so much for everything you all do. And honestly, thank you all for the contribution. I know Parks and Rec will very much appreciate that. I see them nodding in the back. So yes, thank you so much for everything you all do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to thank you all. I do have a question. You mentioned early on in the conversation about capacity. And we've just recently passed or updated our policies regarding hotel abatements, which I think creates a pathway for rehabilitation of buildings or new construction. To meet the needs that you all have identified through leads, what do we need? Now, and I ask this not only in the city because we're landlocked in a lot of ways, so we have to think about building up instead of out. So it's part of it is city, but part of it's region. So,
Absolutely. We need a multi-purpose facility that would be part of a sports complex. That would help us extend the travel and tourism season into the winter months. We have found that many of our jurisdictional partners do not have adequate park and recreation facilities for our residents, and I think anything that's built should be for residents first. And I think that I know that Salem is going through a civic center study right now, as well as a hotel study, and there may be some possibilities there. And I think that it would be great to see a regional partnership because it's hard to find flat land here. The other thing is that our board, this past board meeting, Vinton has asked us for assistance in pursuing a casino and a grade level 3 casino, and would like to consider doing that after the election, which would also include a hotel, entertainment facility, et cetera, kind of like what you would see with Caesars or with what you see down in Bristol. And they said that they would be more than willing to do a revenue share with the jurisdictions around if they were able to get support for that. And so the other thing is that I need one more hotel, especially down next to the cancer center, where we could have a ballroom, we could have breakout space of about 8 breakout space, as well as somewhere around 200 to 250 hotel rooms. If we could have that, we could fill it up.
Thank you.
I don't know if that answered your question or not. but
It does
that's
in
what we're
part,
looking at.
yeah. I'm glad we're going to be having a work session in January, because I think and Councilman Volleson really nailed this, it's tourism, economic development, it's all interrelated, and we have to think about it strategically. If capital, the hub of the region, we need to be at the heart of helping to make these decisions. And so I'm hopeful that session that we have together can be focused on that and what kind of vision we have. Because as you all know, a strong city, a strong Roanoke makes for a strong region. And sometimes because we are a very generous city, we give a lot of things away. And because we've given a lot of things away, we have a backlog of things that we need to take care of financially. And that's the situation we're in. That's what we're dealing with our budget. So it's a combination of bringing people here, because a lot of times when people visit, they decide to move here. And there are a lot of reasons they come here. So I would say let's really think about that as a strategic initiative. I think you've heard multiple concerns today about questions that we have about board governance, and while that's in some ways your responsibility, it's also part of our partnership with you, and so I hope you've heard clearly some of our questions and concerns about that, and that we can work more closely on doing the right thing related to that, not only in terms of diversity, but in terms of accountability. I will also say this presentation is one of the best. They've all had good information, but in terms of more direct information about how the city's impacted, what our role is, this has been really concise and directed more so to that than I've seen previously, so I thank you all for that. And I just wanted to close with a quote that this was shared at the check presentation, but I think this kind of, for me, encapsulated when all of this works together, there's something really special that happens. This is from Kyle Knott, who's the National Race Director for USA Cycling. He says, USA Cycling couldn't be happier with how our mountain bike national championships went this year. The event saw participant growth in almost every category. We believe that has everything to do with the urban outdoor experience that Roanoke, Virginia has to offer. From a logistics perspective, it was a joy to work with each jurisdiction to make this event a success. Hollins University and Carbons Cove provided a perfect backdrop for our riders to head out for a long day during the marathon. This is the part I really love. Roanoke City gave us the most exciting short track cross-country racing this country has ever seen. That's from the director. And if you were there and got a chance to talk to any of the racers, and we had I don't know, there were some middle school, maybe that was the youngest, I don't know. There might have been probably middle school up to adults. I think there was a 70-some, 80-some-year-old. But to hear them, person after person, say that short course in Elmwood Park was the deal, was really cool. So thanks to our Parks and Rec team, thanks to you all, to all of our partners who helped make that happen. We have tough conversations because this is important work. So thank you all. Thanks to the board members who were here today, and we'll look forward to the work session in January and to the progress we can make with board governance and the continued work we're doing together.
Mayor and all of council, we appreciate it. I will tell you, we're really excited because, especially with this destination alignment, it's the first time this has ever been done in the Commonwealth, where we're literally looking at tourism, place marketing, workforce development, industrial development, all together as one. And I'll give you one example of what we're looking at right now. We worked with the Research Institute to book a conference that has to do with exercise biology that will be hosted at the Hotel Roanoke in 2026. And it's the first time that they have met in the United States since 2005. And these are the folks that look at exercise and how it improves the health of human beings. And so we look at what Carillion's doing in terms of sports medicine and their needs, and we realize that what we do is more than just about room demand. It's about getting people here that we need to move here. And so it's aligning all of that. That's not going to be easy, but when it's done, it'll work. So thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Okay.
Ms. Turner, you ready to introduce our next briefing?
Yes, I am. So Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, please allow me to introduce Director Cindy McFall with the Parks and Recreation Department, as she will introduce our consultant and the 5-year update to the master plan.
Mayor Cobb, Vice Mayor McGuire, members of City Council, Ms. Turner. Thank you for the opportunity to present the Parks and Recreation Master Plan 5-year update for your consideration and adoption. In 2019, the Parks and Recreation Department completed a comprehensive master plan to guide 10 years of programming, operations, and facility improvements. That plan was developed as a clear, community-driven roadmap to reflect the local values and support informed decision-making by the city. To ensure the plan remains aligned with community needs, the department initiated a 5-year update in 2023 and partnered with Barry Dunn to lead the process. The update focused on assessing progress to date and identifying any shifts and priorities midway through the 10-year timeline. The consultant team led a robust public engagement effort, including public input meetings, stakeholder sessions, leadership interviews, a statistically valid community survey, and digital engagement tools. This approach made sure people from all parts of the community had a chance to share their thoughts and help guide the plan. We are pleased to present the completed 5-year update, which reflects that input, and outlines refined goals and strategies to guide us through the second half of the planning period. At this time, I'd like to introduce Art Thatcher, lead consultant from Barry Dunn, who will share the department accomplishments since 2019, a summary of the engagement findings, and key recommendations for moving forward. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you for being here.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, city manager, thank you for the opportunity to come and give you the results of the plan. I was here several months ago and went over our findings, and so I will kind of move through this. We've done the introduction. I'll talk to you a little bit about the progress since 2019, and then kind of go over the goals and the objectives from the plan. And so I'm not going to read all of these, but this is a list of the accomplishments that the department and the city has had since the 2019 plan. I think some of the notables to point out: you've added 9+ miles of natural and multi-surface trail, which have been done internally by staff, not contracted out. You've reconstructed the Washington Park pool, and your in-water construction for the in-water park will begin this coming spring. Your Phase 2A of the Tinker Creek Greenway was completed in October, and you replaced your skate park. Just some of the highlights from there. Looking forward through 25 to 30, these are some of the projects that are currently on the books. You can see the top three: the Washington Park amenity improvements, the deferred maintenance improvements, and the Northeast Greenway ADA compliant have been funded, as well as the vision plan, the Mountain View Recreation Center that was completed in 23, and you've got 1.5 million in the CIP currently. So as we look at all that money that was spent between 19 and 24, as you look, 16 million, a little over 16 million was local funding, 13.7 million was in federal funds, 12.5 was in ARPA funds, 13.5 was in state funds, and then another 2.25 was in donations. So for every dollar of local money that was spent, $2 of additional money was used for all of your projects. So a great return there. And so this was the capital plan from the 2019 master plan. And so in the center is that 5 to 10 years. And you can see the blue are those projects that have been completed. Those that are in green are the projects that are currently underway or are part of your capital improvements plan currently and are funded. So you're well on your way to that 5 to 10 year gap. So as we mentioned, we did a statistically valid survey, asked several questions, and what was good was that we used the same survey firm that was used in 2019. We did that purposely so that we could do some longitudinal studies along with just the results. And so you can see there was a 7% increase in community members who currently use your parks and facilities. So, 89% in 24 currently visit your parks and your facilities. So we also asked about overall ratings for maintenance for your parks and recreation facilities. Unfortunately, you had a decrease, which was something that we heard through each one of those phases. 9% less in the excellent and 7% less in the good ratings as to the overall maintenance of your parks and facilities. And we know from your deferred maintenance that that has been part of it. We went through the COVID years, and so there was some things that were done, and so now we're kind of playing some catch up with that. Additionally, we asked about overall quality of your recreation centers, and also there was a decrease of 12% from your good and your excellent ratings in your community centers. And I know you're addressing some of that as well. So one of the things that we do with the survey firm is we develop what we call a priority investment rating. And so we ask a question about, of this list of facilities and amenities, what is most important to your household? And then, are your needs being met with that facility? And so we combine those two, and it gives us our priority rating. So in this case, a priority rating of 125 or greater, we consider to be a high priority. That 75 to 124 is a medium priority. And so on the right-hand side, you can see the large community parks increased in priority rating from 2019 to the 2024 survey by 11 points. Recreation centers and large regional parks went up 9 points. Skate parks went up 8 points, as well as youth basketball, mountain biking, hiking trails, and outdoor spray parks. And so from the data that we received, we came up with, we developed 4 goals and then a series of objectives and then action steps inside of each of those. I'm going to kind of look at the goal and the objectives in the full plan. You've seen the action steps that are in there that are in more detail. And so that first goal is investing in the current infrastructure and addressing your aging facilities. And so As we look at those objectives, continue to maintain and upgrade your existing facilities, parks, trails, et cetera, adding indoor recreation space, and also renovating and upgrading your existing outdoor aquatic facilities, renovating and replacing outdated and failing facilities, amenities, parks and trails, upgrading your comfort and convenience and customer service amenities. Those are your restrooms, your benches, your picnic shelters, your water fountains, your trailheads. Those are your comfort and convenience amenities, and then expanding open space and parks. Additionally, exploring opportunities to add additional trails and walking and biking paths, developing additional outdoor recreation facilities and amenities, developing new amenities at existing parks that are based on your 2019 level of service analysis, addressing your current and future needs for athletic fields, as well as monitoring your ADA access to your parks, trails, river access, and facilities. So those were the facilities and amenities. We also asked about programs and services. And so we asked that same question about programs and services, overall quality. And you can see you had a 13% increase in the good rating from 2019, had a little decrease in the excellent, but still a 10% increase in that excellent and good rating for the quality of your programs. Again, we did the same priority investment rating, and you can see youth sports programs as well as adult sports programs and youth fitness and wellness showed increases, and then the others showed a minimal increase of 1 or 2%. So we look at improving and enhancing your programs and your service delivery. And so enhancing your special events and programming, utilizing technology to improve customer service and efficiency. One of the things we heard was being able to register online and pay online. Continuing to grow programs and services, continuing to address your recreation programs and activities based on the needs of the community, and then exploring opportunities for non-traditional recreation and to serve as a primary gateway for citizens and for visitors. And what that is you have great, we heard from the previous presentation, you've got great waterways, you've got great biking trails, you've got great hiking trails. And so for somebody that wants to learn how to mountain bike, if the Parks and Rec Department can be that intro, as opposed to me going out and spending $3,000 for a mountain bike, not knowing what a trail is, trying to ride a black diamond, crashing and burning, and the bike never leaving my garage again, I can take lessons at the bike park through Parks and Rec. So those type introductions, as well as the in-water park, river park that you guys are getting ready to build. So we also asked about improving your organizational efficiencies. And so maintaining your existing level of service goals, maintaining your existing quality standards for facilities and amenities, continuing to be good stewards of the natural environment, staffing appropriately to meet the demand and to maintain your existing quality of service, maintaining your SOPs, your standard operating procedures, and then increasing potential partnerships within the community. And then finally, we assess the performance of your Parks and Recreation, your programs, your facilities, as well as we did an assessment of the maintenance capacity. And we also, through that process, helped us to look at some efficiencies within your organization and the city's resources. This is small, but in the main plan, it's a little easier to see. We went through each one of your maintenance service areas and listed each one of the tasks on the left-hand side, and then looked at the units, whether it's every day, whether it's a mile of trail, whether it's a ball field, and looked at those, looked at the amount of staff it takes to do each one of those tasks, looked at the time available, and then we carry that out over a year's time, and it gives us an opportunity to look at the number of maintenance hours that are required to maintain your facilities and your amenities, and then what that equates to in full-time equivalents, and then where you are currently full-time equivalent staff, and where you should be based on those specific hours. And so we asked about funding, and so we asked about what would you be willing to fund out of this list of services. And you can see upgrading your existing trails, 11% increase, developing additional trails and connecting trails, up 8%, upgrading your existing youth and athletic fields, improving your ADA accessibility, and then developing new and connecting existing trails, up 4%. So we also asked about programs and services and specific amenities, And so adding sports fields increased by 4%, and paving your multipurpose trails up 4%, and adding another outdoor pool up 4% through that process. And so as we look at the funding piece, exploring additional funding through the pursuit of grants, continuing your current cost recovery and revenue generation practices, partnering with other service providers where possible, and then increasing the city budget and staffing dedicated to parks, recreation, maintenance, and trails. So that, I know that was quick. You guys have had a chance to see it, and so I wanted to kind of give you an opportunity to ask questions, while we're here.
Thank you. Start at this end. Mr. Hagan?
Well, thank you. This is always very informative, and obviously helps us as we make our decisions. Yeah, I didn't really have any questions other than that, since it was statistically significant. I think I've asked quite a bit during the Parks and Rec meeting, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your in-depth study. So I don't have any questions at the time.
Thank you.
Thank you. I had a couple questions and maybe comments. I just wanted to thank you very much for the presentation, and also Ms. McFall for the time, and Ms. O'Brien as well in helping us get our heads wrapped around this before today. I wanted to my colleagues observe that I think I've stated before that I am passionate about this. It won't come as a surprise, I think, but I think it's clear that we need to increase our overall funding that we spend on Parks and Rec, and I don't know how we do that. I know that we're in really challenging times, but I think we've historically been putting just shy of about 2% of the overall city budget towards this, and I just think that part of what we're hitting here is just we've been underfunding, underinvesting in our Parks and Rec, and maybe we've been doing that in other areas, and that's part of the situation that we're in, but I would like to see us work towards getting that overall number up. Again, I don't know how we do that, but I think that would not, I think that we can kind of, I don't want to say kill two birds with one stone, feed a bunch of birds with a few scones. And I would submit the biggest bang for our bucks on some of this. On slide 17, you had the information about where some of our greatest needs are with staffing deficiencies. And in terms of park maintenance and staff to upkeep our parks, I think that's a great place to start, because I think it helps us with some of the other things that we're concerned about. I think that it helps get that overall number back up for people's perception of our parks and their experience when they visit. And I think that directly connects to both livability for our residents, which is so important, but then also, again, what we just heard from VBR, economic development. And when people come to the city, what kind of experience do they have when they go to our parks? And we're dealing with homelessness and encampments and things like that. And so I know that we're going to have the park patrol. I think that's going to be really great. And I think having more staff to be out in the parks, helping with cleanup, and just also being eyes in the parks to identify problems sooner, pick up trash, if there's an issue at one of the covered shelters, et cetera. I think that would make a difference in a couple of areas. So I would be very supportive of that, of trying to help, again, I guess talking to my colleagues, of figuring out how do we close that gap on the park maintenance technicians and support. And the other, I think, where we could get a big bang for our buck is urban forestry and the need for more resources there. We know that our canopy has declined, and we're working really hard with the public to rebuild that, but that also connects, I think, to some of our other top priorities around stormwater management. We have an aging stormwater system that's going to be very expensive to upgrade. Our public health priorities, a lot of those can be addressed through also rebuilding the tree canopy, which is of course a part of Parks and Rec, and then I think also just adds to people's overall impression when they come to the city. And I think Mr. Bratton's here, but we know that trees also increase property values. So I think it's a kind of a win-win across the board. And then just two last things. Thank you very much. I am really intent on us working together to figure out our youth athletics programming and how we manage that and how we could do better to make that more equitable for kids across the city that want to participate in youth sports. I think, again, that's another area where we could feed a couple of birds with one stone, because I think we have some juvenile delinquency and crime issues sometimes that I think could be somewhat mitigated through providing a more organized or more accessible youth athletics program. So I really hope that we can figure that out. And then the last thing we talked about a little bit in our briefing before this was, to your point, and talking about money, where is this all going to come from? We have Helen Ferguson, who does a lot of our grant works for us, but I've suggested, and some of us have talked about hiring more or a full-time grant writer. I don't know whether that person, you could probably put one just in Parks and Rec and keep them busy full-time, but I think something like that with the goal that they would pay for themselves through what they bring back would hopefully maybe help, and especially if we get turn the corner and get use my words carefully, a federal climate where we might be in a better place in a few years, and so just thinking optimistically towards the future on that. It would be good to have some grant writers, I think, on staff in hopes that we would have more federal grant opportunities.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
Thank you for the opportunity to speechify. I appreciate it, and thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's a wonderful presentation, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to sit down with Ms. McFalls and our deputy city manager and our vice mayor to kind of go over this. And one of the things I thought about that evening when I went home, and I was kind of thinking about here, do we know the demographics of those that took the survey? I know there was, digital online engagement tools, surveys, leadership interviews, stakeholder meetings, public input meetings. Do we know kind of, was it, were these more folks from like Southwest Roanoke, Wasena neighborhood? Was it, Melrose Rugby? Do we know that kind of information about where the data came from?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we specifically asked the demographic question in the statistically valid survey. And then in our social pinpoint, we asked about where they lived, within the community, as well as when we did our face-to-face, we moved it around the community so that we weren't like coming to City Hall and saying, everybody come here. We went out to the community centers and the libraries within those communities so that we would connect with them and make it easier for them to participate.
What was that? Do you, and I guess it can be sent at a later date, but I would just be curious to know kind of just data-wise, like where the bulk, of the survey responses came from, because you put it online, it's up to the citizens to click on it and take it, right? I mean, you can only do so much.
Well, so we did a I'm losing my thought here. We did a random sample mailed survey out to a random number of community members.
Okay.
And so they could either send it back in a self-addressed stamped envelope, or they could go online and do it. And then we also offered the opportunity for anybody in the community to take it that was the statistically valid group had to put in a one-time use password so we could keep that statistic validity. And then we got other responses from the community. Social Pinpoint also had a survey tool in it, which gave the community an opportunity. Social Pinpoint is translatable into 82 languages. There's a translate button, and it'll translate the entire thing for them.
That's good stuff. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
We may have to steal some of that.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for the presentation and your hard work on this. I know you've been doing this for quite some time. One question I had is, did you guys look at the accessibility of parks to different to folks? Like, is it easy for them to walk within a mile, or is the closest park like really far away? That's what I'm talking about with accessibility.
Yeah, so as part of this update, we did not do another level of service analysis. That was, as we kind of looked at the budget, when we came to contracting, we kind of brought that down a little bit. We did kind of validate what we saw from the 2019 level of service analysis. So it does have walkability, so that 10-minute walk, and then also it looked at your demographics and their access. So not just generally, but also looking at age as well as ethnicity.
I guess, I don't know if you would know the answer to this, but was there anything significant, any significant gaps in the city from that 2019 one, or ask the city manager later?
Yeah, there are some gaps, but as we look at that, it's lower pockets of population. Some of it is undeveloped area or industrial area that, if you just looked at a general map, would look like, oh, there's nothing here. But it's like, you know, an industrial area, so it makes sense that there's nothing there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, all of my council people have done a great job asking you questions, but I wanted to thank Ms. McFall we had the 2x2 meetings with her, and she addressed a lot of mine concerns that I had or questions that I had. But thank you very much. It was very informative, and I learned a lot of things that I didn't know. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just had one follow-up question, and it kind of goes to what Councilman Bollison was saying about accessibility. I know ideally we have this plan to, what is it, a park within what distance of where everyone lives? 10-minute walk. And you know, that's one way, bicycling, skateboarding, public transit. But I know one of the challenges we're facing as more of our parks are being utilized for larger festivals and events is vehicle parking. And I know that we're actually involved in a parking study right now. I don't think it's just related to downtown, but we've been looking at some of the parking issues related to some of our parks.
Mm-hmm.
And I wondered if there was any data from this update that looked at the variable of parking and any information we might be able to roll into the parking study.
We did not do a parking study. One of the things that we find nationally as we do this for events, parking is an issue, and the rule that we look at is, and for the planners in the room, you may remember this, that you don't plan parking for church, for Easter service, and Christmas Eve. You plan it for regular Sundays. And so as you look at your current parking and your current uses day to day, that's where you really need to kind of put your emphasis. And then for these larger events, as you say, what we also find is that many parks around the country were designed as leisure recreation parks, picnic, playgrounds, those things, and weren't designed for large-scale special events. And so as the demand rose and you're putting those special events in there, parking does become an issue. And so looking at those alternatives, shuttles, those things, and also when you're in the kind of in that stage of redevelopment and redesign, there may be some opportunity to increase some of that parking based on its regular use, as well as adding amenities that are special event centric to increase the experience as well.
Thank you. And Vice Mayor, I think, has one more. Before I turn it over to him, I just wanted to say that I think we have some pretty extraordinary grant writers in the Parks and Rec Department. I don't know if Cindy would put them up against any other department, but but to Vice Mayor's point, you know, we do rely a lot on grants, and I just want to thank those in the Parks and Rec Department who spend a lot of time researching those and receiving grants. You've had a lot of success, so kudos. Thank you.
that speaks volumes, that you're spending $1 of general fund and $2 of other funds. And the second piece of that is grants.
Thank you for that. Just two quick things. I wanted to say to Councilmember Vollesen's comment, I think the 2019 LOS level of service analysis, one thing we didn't talk about today that we may think about for another time, I didn't read it before this meeting, so I'm sorry. I think in there it speaks to park equity and the potential need for more park space as we grow. And that is not something that we've spent a lot of time talking about. And if you look at over the last so many years, our park footprint has, I believe, shrunk in the city. And so I forget what that number was, whether it was like recommended adding 30 acres or something like that. But we should be thinking about that as there continue to be pressures for us on our parks for other things as well. We just had a meeting this morning with the school board to talk about the need for a new 80-acre high school campus. So I don't know where that would go, but I want to make sure that we're thinking about preserving park space. And then the last thing was on this funding and money issue. I love the foundation idea, the concept of public-private partnership. And I just wonder if, I'm thinking about specifically in my neighborhood in Old Southwest, that we get a lot of neighbors complaining about, the park kind of getting run down and needs some major improvements. The trails are totally like washed out. And folks have asked, could we come up with, could we as a neighborhood kind of like raise money to go in a foundation model to go towards improvements in the park? And I think when I was on the Parks and Rec Board, we weren't at a place where we could do that. But I just wanted to throw that out there, that we may have some neighborhoods that would be willing to, and I don't know if we could raise $500,000, but we might be able to raise $50,000 towards helping on some of these capital needs in the parks. And I don't know if we could do that through the foundation, but I'd like for us to think about it in the future as one way to think creatively about how we pay for all this stuff. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McFall, for the presentation today and the update. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's been great working with you.
Thank you.
Ms. Turner, I think we're ready for our next briefing.
Next briefing will be done by the Director of Finance, Margaret Lindsay.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor McGuire, members of council. Margaret Lindsay with a few numbers for you this afternoon. To start out, as usual, we have some revenue. I just want to point out a couple of things on this particular slide. The fiscal year 26 actual year-to-date column for our general property taxes. This is a fairly quiet time for real estate and personal property. The majority of the year-to-date numbers are from delinquent collections, which is a great thing. I do want to point out that our sales tax that is presented here, and it is a little bit off skew, which will be fixed, is money that will accrue back into fiscal 25. Our July and August collections, which this represents, are actually May and June. It's a 2-month lag, so what you see next month from me will have the first actual fiscal year 26 amount of money in that line. It's also a very quiet time for our business and professional occupational licensings, our BPOL. Again, not a fall or winter timeframe for collections. And then I did want to make one comment on our prepared food and beverage. This has, of course, 2 months of collections in it, and 1 month at the new rate. So what we collected in July will accrue back into June because it is June's collections. And then we will have just the actual July, which was reported and paid, if on time, in August. I'm working with the Commissioner of Revenue. I think may have mentioned this last week, and we will have the whole first quarter of information for you later in the fall, once we actually have the October collections posted. Those are for the month of September, and so we want to look at 3 months at a time, see how the underlying base that is providing these collections, how that is. So just a couple of things also on this. Generally, if all of our revenues came in ratably, which they do not, we would be at about 16.7%. That's just for reference. And then our grants in aid Commonwealth also will have a good bit of accruing back into fiscal '25. With the September report, since I'm standing here on October 6th, I know that all of that has been posted. So once we get to September, we will have only for you fiscal '26 monies. With expenditures, again, it's early in the year, and where you may see what would be a little bit warmer of spending, so again, beyond the 16.7%. That is not necessarily either unusual or alarming. A number of items, for example, in our Department of Technology, may have subscriptions or annual maintenance fees that we pay all at one time towards the beginning of our fiscal year. And so those are going to bump up higher your expenditures in any particular area. Our largest by far for year-to-date spending is in non-departmental, and of course that is where our transfer to Roanoke City Public Schools at $106.9 million is every month. So we of course had 2 months of that. And I will go back to having a little more detail with our September report in November. Just wanted to get a little bit of more money spent and items posted before we resume that. Last two things quickly. This is our month of August year-to-date, and for the month, temporary wage expenditures, not off the charts by any stretch. I will say that if, and I know it's a big if, we were to spend approximately $330,000 per month for 12 months, we would come out at just below $4 million, so we would be slightly over budget. But that's a big if. Not every month is the same. For overtime, we all know that we're able to increase the budget for fiscal year '26 to $4.7 million. 2 months in, we have spent almost 1.2. And again, if everything came exactly as these first 2 months, we would be looking at year-to-date spend of just under $7.2 million. So that is an area that we certainly monitor with our budget division and work with Ms. Turner and the other departments. But I did want to give a heads up on that one. And I'm happy to answer any questions, or me and my trusty pen will take back those that we can't answer today.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Lindsay.
you.
We appreciate it. All right, we're going to move now into our items recommended for action, and we have a number of them. First of all is to authorize the acquisition of real property rights at 2002 Blue Hills Circle Northeast, bearing Roanoke official tax map number 727-0101. We have one measure and ordinance, and I'll entertain a motion and second.
Move the ordinance.
Thank you, Council Members Nash and Volleson. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title paragraph?
An ordinance providing for the acquisition of real property rights needed by the city of Roanoke in connection with the development of Track 8 at the Roanoke Center for Industry and Technology, authorizing city staff to acquire such property rights by negotiation for the city, authorizing the city manager or designee to execute appropriate acquisition documents, and dispensing with the second reading of this ordinance by title.
Thank you. Ms. Turner?
Yes, this item allows the city to enter into negotiations with Blue Hills Golf Course for a drainage easement related to our site development of Track 8.
Questions or comments from council? All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Sanchez Jones. Aye. Vice Mayor McGuire.
Aye.
Mr. Nash.
Aye.
Mr. Volleson.
Aye.
Ms. Powers. Aye. Mr. Hagan.
Aye.
Mayor Cobb.
Aye, and the ordinance is adopted. Item B is the acceptance of Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation, VDCR, Community Flood Preparedness Fund, grant funding, and acquisition of real property located at 2034 Indian Village Lane Southeast. There's one measure and ordinance, and I'll welcome a motion and second.
Ordinance?
Thank you, Councilmember Sanchez Jones. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title paragraph?
An ordinance accepting Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation FY 2025 Community Flood Preparedness Fund, grant funds for the city of Roanoke to acquire and demolish certain flood-prone, flood-prone property located along Indian Village Lane Southeast, authorizing the city manager to execute any required documents to accept such funding, authorizing the city manager to execute any required documents to acquire such property rights, appropriating such funds detailed more fully infra, and dispensing with the second reading of this ordinance by title.
Ms. McCoy. Ms. Turner, anything to add?
Yes, this project will involve the demolition of 3 flood-prone buildings, restoration of the floodplain with a bench and native paint plantings. The ordinance authorizes acceptance of the grant, execution of the agreement, and the appropriation of local funds.
Questions or comments from council?
Ms. Turner, does that mean we're going to lose 3 houses?
It's 3 buildings.
3 buildings? They're duplexes, right?
Yeah.
Zoo in
Councilmember Sanchez Jones, Mayor and Vice Mayor, thank you for the question. So yes, in fact, this would be 3 of the buildings that are duplex buildings. The Roanoke Regional Housing Authority intends to use this money to build new housing that is outside the floodplain. As we're well aware, sometimes with the flooding events, we do have water in these units, and so this is actually a net plus for the housing authority, and we'll work with them to make sure that the process goes smoothly and that tenants are relocated throughout the process.
Question.
And if I can add to that too, and I may be wrong, so correct me if I am wrong, it's really more of a moment for me to educate myself. Those properties that are in that flood zone are not eligible for certain grants or opportunities for funding, correct? Aren't some of them excluded because of where they're located?
Councilmember Nash, I can't speak to that, but I'm happy to bring back an answer. But my assumption would be that it would be difficult for them to apply for improvements based upon their location.
Ms. Ferguson can answer that.
Good afternoon, members of council, Mayor Cobb, Vice Mayor McGuire. So what the Housing Authority often uses is HUD dollars, and you are not allowed to use HUD dollars in the floodplain. So those, I've been in contact with them also about those buildings for other reasons, and so they actually are at a point where they actually can't invest in them either.
Thank you.
Questions? Madam Clerk, we're ready for the roll call.
Sanchez Jones. Aye. Vice Mayor McGuire.
Aye.
Mr. Nash.
Aye.
Mr. Volleson. Aye. Ms. Powers. Aye. Mr. Hagan.
Aye.
And Mayor Cobb.
Aye, and the ordinance is adopted. Item C is the acceptance of Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation Community Flood Preparedness Fund grant funding and acquisition of real property at 1941 and 1953 Franklin Road Southwest. We have one measure and ordinance, and I'll entertain a motion and second, please.
I move the motion.
Second. You, council members Powers and Volleson. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title paragraph?
An ordinance accepting Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation FY 2025 Community Flood Preparedness Fund grant funds for the city of Roanoke to acquire and demolish 2 flood-prone properties located along Franklin Road Southwest, authorizing the city manager to execute any required documents to accept such funding, authorizing the city manager to execute any required documents to acquire such property rights, appropriating funds detailed more fully, infra, and dispensing with the second reading of this ordinance by title.
The two properties on Franklin.
Didn't we already do that? No,
That one.
The Indian
no,
Village.
we just did
It's a different
Indian
one.
Village. Yeah, sorry, that's my bad. Thank you. Ms. Turner?
Yes, so once we acquire and demolish the two properties, we'll restore the site with a floodplain bench and native plantings complementing the adjacent or branch restoration work occurring on the site of the Ramada Hotel.
Any questions or further discussion from council? All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Sanchez Jones.
Aye.
Vice Mayor McGuire.
Aye.
Mr. Nash.
Aye.
Mr. Volleson. Ms. Powers. Mr. Hagan. And Mayor Cobb.
Aye, and the ordinance is adopted. Item D is the acceptance of Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation Community Flood Preparedness Fund grant funding for watershed modeling for Trout Run and Hortons Branch watersheds. One measure and ordinance, and I'll entertain a motion and second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Council Members Volleson and Nash. And Madam Clerk, will you please read the title paragraph?
An ordinance authorizing the acceptance of the Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation Community Flood Preparedness Fund grant funds for the city of Roanoke to survey and model two watersheds to support the development of detailed watershed plans, authorizing execution of any required documents on behalf of the city, appropriating funds detailed more fully infra, and dispensing with the second reading of this ordinance by title.
Ms. Turner?
Yes, the funding is to conduct watershed modeling for Trout Run and Hortons Branch, which is an important step in guiding future capital projects, emergency preparedness, and community outreach related to flooding.
Questions or comments from council? Mr. Volleson?
Just a comment. I'm very excited about this, especially for Hortons Branch, which is basically urban the whole entire time. Back with.
All right, Madam Clerk, we're ready for the roll call.
Sanchez Jones. Vice Mayor McGuire.
Aye.
Mr. Nash.
Aye.
Mr. Volleson. Ms. Powers. Mr. Hagan.
Aye.
And Mayor Cobb.
Aye, and the ordinance is adopted. Item E is the acceptance and appropriation for the 2026 Virginia Department of Motor Vehicles Highway Safety Grant. There is one measure and ordinance, and I'll entertain a motion and second.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Thank you, Councilmembers Nash and Powers. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title paragraph?
An ordinance authorizing the acceptance of the FY 2026 Department of Motor Vehicles Highway Safety Selective Enforcement Alcohol Grant, authorizing execution of any required documents on behalf of the city, appropriating funds more detailed more fully infra, and dispensing with the second reading of this ordinance by title.
Ms. Turner?
Yes, the Roanoke Police Department has been awarded $34,350 grant through the Virginia DMV Selective Enforcement Program for alcohol-related offenses for FY '26. The funds will be used to pay for off-duty officers to conduct targeted enforcement efforts to reduce impaired driving.
Thank you. Questions or comments from council? All right. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Sanchez Jones. Vice Mayor McGuire.
Aye.
Mr. Nash.
Aye.
Mr. Volleson. Ms. Powers. Mr. Hagan. And Mayor Cobb.
Aye, and the ordinance is adopted. Item F is the acceptance and appropriation of the 2026 Selective Enforcement Virginia Department of Motor Vehicles Grant. There's one measure and ordinance. I'll entertain a motion and second.
I move the motion.
Second.
Thank you, council members Powers and Nash. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title paragraph?
An ordinance authorizing the acceptance of the FY 2026 Department of Motor Vehicles Traffic Safety Selective Enforcement Police Traffic Services Grant, authorizing execution of any required documents on behalf of the city, appropriating funds detailed more fully infra, and dispensing with the second reading of this ordinance by title.
Thank you. Ms. Turner?
Again, the Roanoke Police Department has been awarded a little over $67,000, and the funds will be used to pay for off-duty officers to conduct targeted patrols aimed at reducing speeding-related crashes, pedestrian incidences, and traffic fatalities.
Questions or comments from council? All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Sanchez Jones. Aye. Vice Mayor McGuire.
Aye.
Mr. Nash.
Aye.
Mr. Volleson is out. Ms. Powers.
Aye.
Mr. Hagan. And Mayor Cobb.
Aye, and the ordinance is adopted. Item G is the acceptance of state and local cybersecurity grant program consent agreement for vulnerability management program for the City of Roanoke IT networks. There is one measure, a resolution, and I'll entertain a motion and second.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Thank you, Council Members Nash and Powers. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title paragraph?
A resolution to accept the state and local cybersecurity grant program for vulnerability management between the Commonwealth of Virginia and the City of Roanoke, receiving services in lieu of direct funding, and authorizing the city manager or designee to execute the local consent agreement referred to above, and authorizing the city manager or designee to execute such other documents and to take such further actions as may be necessary to implement, administer, and enforce such agreement.
Thank you. Ms. Turner?
Thank you. The Virginia Information Technology Agency is awarding services in lieu of funding to the city for a vulnerability management program. The precise value is undetermined due to ongoing vendor negotiations. The program will support the city's cybersecurity program by increasing our ability to proactively detect and address security vulnerabilities.
Any questions or comments from council? All right, Madam, call the roll.
Sanchez Jones. Aye. Vice Mayor McGuire.
Aye.
Mr. Nash.
Aye.
Mr. Volleson.
Aye.
Ms. Powers.
Aye.
Mr. Hagan.
Aye.
And Mayor Cobb.
Aye, and the resolution is adopted. Item H is the request for an encroachment permit for Charter Foods Incorporated for drive-through access improvements located adjacent to property at 2657 Peters Creek Road Northwest, tax map number 6370101. We have one measure, an ordinance, and I'll entertain a motion and second.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Council members Nash and Powers. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title paragraph?
An ordinance allowing an encroachment requested by Charter Foods, Inc., owned by AG Property LLC, for drive-through access improvements located at 2657 Peters Creek Road that totals approximately 4,860 square feet, including the entrance to the facility and a drive aisle measuring approximately 160 feet by 23 feet located within city right-of-way, upon certain terms and conditions, and dispensing with the second reading of this ordinance by title.
Yes, this encroachment into the city's right-of-way is to support the development of a new Taco Bell restaurant at 2657 Peters Creek Road Northwest.
Questions or comments from council? All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Sanchez Jones. Aye. Vice Mayor McGuire.
Aye.
Mr. Nash.
Aye.
Mr. Volleson.
Aye.
Ms. Powers.
Aye.
Mr. Hagan.
Aye.
Mayor Cobb.
Aye, and the ordinance is adopted. Item I is the execution of an amendment to the contract with Stantec Consulting Services Incorporated in connection with the Wasena In-River Park project. There's one measure, a resolution, and I'll entertain a motion and second.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Thank you, Councilmembers Hagan and Nash. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title paragraph?
A resolution authorizing the city manager's issuance and execution of a contract amendment to the city's contract with Stantec Consulting Services, Inc. for the engineering design services related to the Wasena In-River Park project, and authorizing the city manager or designee to take such actions and execute such documents as may be necessary to provide for the implementation, administration, and enforcement of such contract as amended.
Thank you. Ms. Turner?
No comments.
Okay. Any questions or comments from council? All right. Ms. McCoy, will you please call the roll?
Sanchez Jones. Aye. Vice Mayor McGuire.
Aye.
Mr. Nash.
Aye.
Mr. Volleson.
Aye.
Ms. Powers.
Aye.
Mr. Hagan.
Aye.
Mayor Cobb.
Aye, and the resolution is adopted. Now I'll turn to our city manager, Ms. Turner, for any comments you may have.
Thank you, Mayor Cobb. I have 2 comments for this afternoon. Number 1, the next round of community engagement for the Washington and McCadden Park master plans will occur next week at the RCPS Community Empowerment Center. Actually, one is this week, sorry. McCadden Park meeting will be tonight, October 6th, from 6 p.m. to 7:30. Washington Park meeting will be tomorrow, Tuesday, October 7th, from 6 to 7:30. The design team will be present. They will present findings for summer outreach and introduce 3 conceptual plan options for each park. Attendees will participate in a design activity to select amenities and arrange park features within a set budget. Additional in-person and online outreach will continue throughout October before the final master plans are completed this winter. My second comment, the 6-month Envision Williamson Road demonstration officially launched last week on October 2nd. Staff are monitoring and making adjustments to traffic flow and signal timing. As of last Thursday's morning peak, no significant delays or backups were reported, and travel times remain stable. And that concludes my comments for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Move on now to an item from our city attorney, which is a proposed city code amendment regarding Chapter 10 elections, and specifically the naming of a polling place. And there is one measure and ordinance, and I'll entertain a motion and second on the ordinance.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Thank you, Councilmembers Volleson and Nash. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title paragraph?
An ordinance amending and reordaining Section 10-52, same polling place of Chapter 10 elections, Code of the City of Roanoke, as amended, to change the name of the polling place for voter precinct number 18, Summit Hills Precinct, to Sovereign Grace Community Church, establishing an effective date and dispensing with the second reading of this ordinance by title.
Thank you. Any comments or questions or discussion?
Just to clarify, this doesn't run afoul of the 30 days before an election changing things?
It does not, we're not changing the location.
Okay.
If we were changing the location, there would be a problem. This is simply changing the name. What happened is that the folks at Westminster Presbyterian Church conveyed their sanctuary and their building to Sovereign Grace Community Church. We want our code to reflect the actual name of the voting place. The new church who acquired the old church wants to continue to be the voting place. So if you vote in the Summit Hills precinct, you will still go to 2216 Peters Creek Road. The location is not changing. This is a change in name only.
Thank you for that clarification. Good point. All right, any other discussion? All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Sanchez Jones. Aye. Vice Mayor McGuire.
Aye.
Mr. Nash.
Aye.
Mr. Volleson.
Aye.
Ms. Powers.
Aye.
Mr. Hagan.
Aye.
Mayor Cobb.
Aye, and the ordinance is adopted. We have, for reports of committees, comments from any council members who serve as liaisons to any of our authorities, boards, or committees. Does anyone have any reports? Mr. Nash?
The Gun Violence Prevention Commission on October 21st, in place of their regularly scheduled meeting, will be located at the Hill Church on Lafayette. And this meeting is a stakeholders meeting. And we have the representative from the Commonwealth Attorney's Office joining us. And it's going to be an opportunity for us to have dialogue with the citizens and hopefully educate them about the beginning process when the call comes into 911, all the way up to the part where either justice is served or a case is determined to be a cold case, and then what that timeline and what that pathway looks like, just to make sure that our citizens understand how the processes work and what they need to do to leverage the system to make sure that they're doing all they can to help get justice for their loved ones that unfortunately lose their life to gun violence. So October 21st at 5:30 at the Hill Church on Lafayette.
Thank you. That's great. What time is it, 5:30?
5:30.
Okay.
Yep, same time as the regular meeting.
Yeah,
Yep.
great. I just want to announce that this coming Saturday through Tuesday, Roanoke will be hosting the Virginia Municipal League Mayor's Institute and Virginia Municipal League Conference, and I know that the leadership team at VML has been working very closely with our city team to create a very special conference. So a lot of local government leaders will be descending upon Roanoke, and we're going to celebrate their presence with us. And I know we as council will be involved in different aspects of that. So we're excited to host the conference. Under item 10, introduction and consideration of ordinances and resolutions, we have two items. The first is to repeal and replace ordinance number 43176042125, accepting and appropriating fiscal year 25 HUD Continuum of Care Grant Award Homeless Assistance Team to correct a scrivener's error. There's one measure and ordinance, and I'll entertain a motion and second.
Ordinance?
Second.
Thank you, council members Hagan and Nash. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title paragraph?
An ordinance to repeal and replace ordinance number 43176-042125, adopted April 21st, 2025, to correct a scrivener's error in the budget revenue account number and adopting an ordinance correcting the error in connection with the acceptance of the FY 2024 Continuum of Care Grant Award to the City of Roanoke on behalf of the Department of Social Services Homeless Assistance Team for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in the amount of $150,059.
Thank you.
Well, just a minute.
Okay.
It had a comma at the end, so I didn't know if there was more money to that. But anyway, upon certain terms and conditions, appropriating 2024-2025 grant funds, authorizing the city manager to execute any necessary documents necessary to accept such grant, and dispensing with the second reading of this ordinance by title. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Sanchez Jones.
Aye.
Vice Mayor McGuire.
Aye.
Mr. Nash.
Aye.
Mr. Volleson.
Aye.
Ms. Powers. Mr. Hagan.
Aye.
And Mayor Cobb.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. Item 2 is the repeal and replacement of ordinance number 43210061625, accepting and appropriating fiscal year 25 acceptance and appropriation of funding for a drug prosecutor to correct a scrivener's error. There's one measure, an ordinance, and I'll entertain a motion and second.
Second.
Thank you, council members Hagan and Nash. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title paragraph?
An ordinance to repeal and replace ordinance number 43210-061625, adopted June 16th, 2025, to correct a scrivener's error in the budget revenue account number and adopting an ordinance correcting the error in connection with the acceptance of funding from the Commonwealth of Virginia Compensation Board for the multi-jurisdictional special drug prosecutor for the fiscal year 2026, amending and reordaining certain sections of the 2025-2026 grant fund appropriations and detailed more fully infra and dispensing with the second reading of this ordinance by title.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Sanchez Jones. Aye. Vice Mayor McGuire.
Aye.
Mr. Nash. Aye. Mr. Volleson.
Aye.
Ms. Powers.
Aye.
Mr. Hagan.
Aye.
Mayor Cobb.
Aye, and the ordinance is adopted. Any inquiries or comments by members of council? All right, we are going to recess to continue our closed meetings, and once we have completed those closed meetings, we will come back into the chamber, certify our closed meeting, and adjourn. All right? Let's take just a couple.
Quarter of the spread in feet.
Okay. You mentioned a cash prize before, but I don't think I know what the cash prize is. What are we talking here?
I don't remember. I thought it was 500 for the top one.
The real prize is feeling that tree
Yes.
and getting the sense of it.
It's, when owners say, hey, is this a champion? And I go, yeah, it is. They said, what do I get? I said, bragging rights. And a certificate from the Maryland Big Tree Program.
That's Jolie McCatherine, the vice chair of the Maryland Big Tree Program. Thank you so much and happy tree hunting.
Thank you, Scott.
You're listening to All Things Considered from NPR News.
For Radio IQ News, I'm Craig Wright. Appalachian Power will ask state regulators for permission to reduce the fuel expense the company passes on to its customers. The request, which would mean a somewhat lower monthly bill for most customers, is one of several APCO will be taking to the State Corporation Commission over the next few months. Cardinal News reporter Matt Bussey is following the story, and he spoke with Fred Eccles.
Matt, what is the fuel charge and how does APCO want to change it?
Fuel charge, or the fuel factor as it's officially called, it's the charge that Appalachian Power passes along to customers, and it covers the cost of the fuel used to generate electricity, such as coal, such as natural gas,